That's what you're saying. Okay, you guys good? You ready?
Yep.
I'm
Boogie.
never ready, but I'll make it up as I
You're
go.
not like lunch meat, always ready.
Oh, is
I'm
that too
never
bright,
ready.
Nate?
No.
That lamp?
No, it's not too bright.
The lamp's not
That's
bright.
that's the
It's
title
good.
of this episode, Nathaniel. Never ready lunch meat.
What's the point then?
I don't know.
Lunch
You tell
meat.
me.
Lunch meat's always supposed to be ready. Like
Um,
you just get it and go. You don't need to do anything to it.
yeah, but you know what's more ready than lunch meat?
No.
Cheese.
Sometimes you gotta cut cheese.
No.
I
You get
do.
like that fake stuff that from the store, like the plastic cheese that gives you cancer after you eat enough of it.
You're
You
talking
know,
about
the
Kraft
Kraft
singles.
Yeah.
American.
Have you ever
cheese?
All
melted?
right.
Have you ever melted
Plasticky
Kraft
cheese.
singles over ramen noodles?
No, but I've heard
Yes.
that's very good. I've done that with
dude.
with chicken noodle before, chicken noodle soup.
I think I
is
did
like-
that once at your behest, Brandon. When
It
we
is
were at the apartment.
criminally delicious. For some reason, it's so good and it has no right to be that good.
I mean, yeah, I've heard of people doing they'll get one of those and like an egg and put that in their ramen. Hello, welcome to H7 Bus. You are listening to Conversations on a Broken Couch. My name is Nathaniel Welch.
My name is Brandon Salmons.
My name is Scott.
This episode was recorded live in the H7 Bus Discord on March 3rd, 2025. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you get to enjoy Brandon playing World of Warcraft Classic on
World
our
of
fourth
Warcraft Classic.
screen. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you, man?
I'm good.
I am fantastic as well. I just got done from work. I had a nice shower, and I'm trying to stay. Trying not to choke on my water.
You're
Yeah.
nice and clean, and you're trying not to choke. Sounds like a great day to me.
Yes.
Good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything interesting today, Brandon?
Nothing really, man. It's just my day off. I'm lazy. I'm chilling. I just got done moving a few days ago, so that's fun. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
crazy. Just doing my thing.
Yeah. Day off is always nice.
Yeah.
What do you guys like prefer to do on your day off? Is there anything
Nothing.
specific that helps you kind of
I
relax? or whatever?
I prefer to literally sit there and do nothing with my day. If I can get away with it, I will literally just chill. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. If I can play games, perfect. But I do a lot of like not reading. I don't read.
Reading.
I read last
Rainbow.
podcast. I like to do a lot of just like hanging out, chilling, hoping that I don't have to do anything in the day. And then like play games and stuff like that. That's what I like to do on my Saturdays and Sundays. But my weekdays, I spend a lot of time just like working and writing. So it's like
Are you
Saturdays
just
are definitely my
still-
Sabbath.
Are you still just writing your world like in
No.
D&D? Is that what you're working on, or what are you writing?
Working on my I'm trying to write a novel.
A novel.
That is
in
awesome.
Yeah, I've been it's been something I've wanted to do for I don't know, like
Forever.
6-7
You wanted
years
to do
now.
that forever.
Yeah. I
My
think actually
goodness.
it's
It's been since you were in
2025,
high school.
So yeah, in my sophomore year I had a creative writing class. She was a great teacher. She was awesome. And that is what started the creation of my little novel idea. And so like the first like draft, I don't know, it was like super short. I did it for like a school project, obviously, because it's a writing class. But the teacher loved it so much that she put it on, the little projector board so that everybody could like go through and
Wow.
see and be like, this is what this is for. This was great. This is the kind of things I'm looking for. And I heard people like classmates, like whispering amongst themselves, going like, I would read this. What's the rest of this about? And I had friends at my table who were like, hey, this is pretty good. So I was just like, well,
Wow.
I don't know what I want to do when I
That's
grow
really
up, but hey,
cool.
writing could be fun.
Yeah,
So
But you're a good writer, yeah.
you are.
I can
I've
speak
read your work. It,
Being
oh
a
some of your
player
yeah,
work.
yeah.
I've
I
read some
sent
of
you
your
that
work. Yeah,
I sent you that piece on the blades.
yeah,
Well,
dude,
Yeah.
being a player at his
it's
D&D
great.
table, his writing really comes through there too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's not a whole lot of writing that goes on, at least in my early D&D, but a lot of my later stuff like
Like the last year before you left, though, I could feel it.
yeah. Yeah, my little like one shots and stuff that I did.
Oh yeah.
Those were fun. And Fate, oh my gosh. Yeah.
There was a
we
lot
did-
of
we did
writing
some
in that
Fate
for
games.
sure.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one of the areas you and I are total opposites. You're a good writer, and you have the capability to put your ideas on paper. I have great ideas, and I have no idea how to illustrate or put them on paper either. So,
I have to put my stuff on paper because I
Yeah.
have to get them out of my head. Or they're just gonna sit there banging around. And I'm gonna be distracted at work, so I have to get them onto like a Google Doc or something.
Mhm. I feel like I'm
Scott-
the opposite. I have a pretty easy time, like planning and stuff, but and getting stuff on paper. But it's the coming up with ideas part that is really hard for me. I just
one of these
I
days,
can't. I can't. It's
dude, I would
It's
love to
tough.
just have an entire day where the three of us could do nothing but just spit ideas at each other, or like let me spit my D&D ideas at you guys, and you just write them all down and execute. That'd be awesome. Because like my strength is
Like a
coming up
writer's
with
room.
cool ideas.
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
we literally would be a great writer's room. My strength is coming up with the ideas, and I almost never know how to execute on them. That's my biggest struggle with it. Honestly.
Yeah, I always just had a problem with ideas. Like I maybe every once in a while I'd get a good one and would have a really easy time executing it, but I always felt like I was coming up with like decent okay story beats and was having to like compensate with flowery language or really strong encounter design or
You had some great encounters.
something else in order to like
Yeah.
make it in order to make up for my struggle with coming up with plot and all that.
My
Yeah.
ultimate D&D DM session would be, and not to be conceited, but my ideas and my world with Scott's narrative capability, and then Nathaniel, your capability of putting together terrifying combat encounters. Like, to this day, Scott and I played a lot of characters. One of my favorites was this guy JJ Carson. We were playing like level 12s or something, I think. And with a single entity, humanoid size, not like a monster or gargantuan thing, Nathaniel turned this single dude into like this terrifying encounter where he started by just taking me out of the fight in like one turn.
Yeah, that was a vampire gunslinger.
Yeah,
that
he
you
had
gave
a
us.
he had a little bit.
It
of
wasn't unfair either.
a
It was
little bit of
and it was-
motivation
It was
to
good.
target you first and stuff.
But like that motivation to target me and the narrative reason for him doing that, mixed with how physically scary he was, made that encounter so impactful and so good. And so yeah, Nathaniel, I got to give you your flowers, man. Your ability to make combat encounters or just encounters in general memorable and good, it's unrivaled in my opinion.
That game though, in the series of
I
games we
agree.
did is a perfect example of what I'm saying though. Like I totally struggled to come up with what like an actual interesting story besides just go to point A to point B and have it not be railroady, and so I just had to come up with a lot of good combat, and I hope that it was. I don't know. I'm glad to hear that the combat wasn't horrible. So I don't know if
Dude,
maybe
had-
I did too much though. Is the problem? I don't know. I don't really remember.
I
Nah,
think
man.
that's one of the nice things. One of the biggest things that I've learned from you, Nathaniel, was learning how to do encounter design, because it was something that I struggled with. Even when I was playing in Brandon's game, like Brandon, I think your encounters were a lot more interesting than mine. I struggled with encounters. I think up until
I feel like my encounters
up
were
until
more
I
narrative.
left Alaska.
That's
Yeah,
what
but
I
they were
had.
great because the monsters we would fight, and Like I know the little secrets and stuff and behind the scenes stuff now because
I've
what
told
was
you
it? Was
about.
it yeah? You and I had a conversation one day where we realized we were doing the same thing. Just you made
Yeah.
it a little more exciting than I did.
Well, I don't even think more exciting. It's just like I don't know. I don't know. I'm better at nothing against you. I think I'm a little bit better at improv, and you've
You
probably
are.
gotten better since you left. And that's a big deal for combat is if you take just the monster sheet and you don't make it flexible at all, and it's not like let me start from the beginning here. If you take a monster sheet and you are not really, really good and you don't have an excellently designed monster, and then you have no flexibility in how that monster interacts with the party or the abilities it can bring to bear, then you run into the issue of this is a boring encounter because the
Yeah.
monster is just a sheet and so you're not giving it anything else it can do. So one of my favorite things to do to the party is if you guys started crumping an enemy a little too easy. Oh yeah, this thing can now barbarian rage. Oh, we weren't expecting that. Oh, this thing just action surged because this fight is too easy. It's just
Mhm.
that adaptability I think is where I
Mhm.
was good.
Yeah. Scott,
It's
your
like
encounters were always at their best when either they were like cinematic, whether it had a lot of narrative weight or not. I remember
Oh yeah.
often, specifically whenever we would be in some sort of like arena or fight pit or something like that,
oh my gosh, yeah.
you would keep those encounters, those fights really cinematic, and there would be interaction with NPCs in the middle of them, and there'd be it'd kind of be like this dance with the monsters and with the arena trying to figure all that out, and those were always really really fun. But uh, so that's one of the times I always thought your encounters were at their best, and then the second would be when there was like narrative weight, and sometimes you didn't all like sometimes there would be this huge this would be something the story had been leading up to, and it'd be this huge narrative moment, and there would be like physical tension in the room,
Yeah.
and we'd all
Oh
be
yeah.
super excited for this and for this fight, but sometimes those fights wouldn't be cinematic, and so my my best D&D memories are the moments where both were true, where there was a lot of narrative weight that a lot of narrative weight and really cinematic encounter design and combat design when we could tell you were super comfortable and you were having a lot of fun and were really enjoying the scenario and us working off one another and all that. So
You just
yeah.
made me
Nice.
think of
That's
an
cool.
analogy
Thanks, Nate.
actually. And Scott and Nathaniel, you guys might disagree or correct me if you think I'm wrong. But an analogy I could put to our DMing styles, Scott's I feel like could be a movie. Nathaniel,
Mm-hmm.
yours could be a TV show, and mine would be a book
Hmm.
if you think about it. Which is ironic
Interesting.
because I don't write. Scott doesn't watch a lot of movies, and Nathaniel, you don't watch anything. So,
I watch
but
movies sometimes.
our DM styles kind of fit that way, or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I get what you're saying. I would kind of tend to agree.
yeah,
That's probably why Scott you always came up with like the coolest one shots and stuff is because they were
yeah.
pretty self-contained and all that.
And then
Um,
Nathaniel,
Yeah,
you're
I
really
like
good at that.
self-contained stuff.
Yeah, Scott's really good at singular. Like, this is a big thing. This is a big arc. This is it.
mhm.
Whereas Nathaniel, you're really good at episodic, building up over time. I feel like mine's more of a novel because it's just a world, and then the villain is there, and you can choose to ignore him, but he's doing stuff in the background.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't disagree.
I I just don't know if it's come across very well in what I've said though. But Scott, I think you're an incredible DM. I do,
Oh, I
Thank
agree.
you.
and
Thank you.
I don't know how
I agree.
you like even if your encounter designs aren't always like I think they're always okay. Like I'm never like this is horrible, this is boring, but the point I was trying to make is that my best D&D
Yeah.
memories are when you specifically like whether intentional or not like were found your comfort zone and were in the group found their comfort zones, which makes some of that out of your control, right? But overall, like you just, I just can't do it like you can. I mean, the way you were constantly week after week able to come up with good ideas and interesting stuff, um, and keep it
Uh,
engaging and keep it interesting and all that is just it's not everyone can be a forever dungeon master, right?
it is
Hey
so
man,
hard to do.
you
It is
know, I
so hard
like
to
it.
do.
I
Being a forever DM is tough.
it is. Brandon, you
Yeah.
well, you kind of got
I
thrown into that role.
you
I'm
know, I
sorry.
offered no, it's fine. For the listeners or the viewers, it's kind of funny how I got my DM start is one day I was like, Scott, do you need a break? And he goes, I wouldn't mind a few weeks off. And so I said, I have a cool one shot idea. I'll run a one shot. And then that one
Yeah.
shot turned into like a 4-part mini series. And then I got the idea. I was like, Scott, what if you and I made a world? And then we started making this world when we made all these characters and all this lore. And then Scott was like, I'm busy. I can't help you with this. And I was like, I'll just take it over. I have a lot of ideas. And one massive like spreadsheet document later and a
Mm-hmm.
million things of lore in my head and I made my world and we started playing. And then I just became the forever DM by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something
Sadly, Nathaniel
I've
didn't get to play in that game.
um yes, I was busy. But something I've realized since because it's been a long time since I've DM'd is or like actually DM'd for a good amount of time is it's a lot of fun. I really
Yeah.
struggle as a player, but as a DM I have a lot of fun, but I figured out if I ever do it again, it's going to be um based out of or just straight up like a pre-made adventure.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna homebrew anymore. Like I just
Dude,
just
that's so
cuz
much easier said than done.
that's my weakness entirely is the coming up with ideas. So if I can take what someone already made and like take a pre-made 5e adventure and mess with the encounters and maybe try to weave more of a narrative into it and change what I think needs to be changed, then I think that's the perfect. That'll probably be
N-
the perfect middle ground for me. But the problem is
Nathaniel,
that I forever kind of refused to run pre-mades. I was like, no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come up with my own stuff, and
It's
yeah,
a weight
I
off
it
your
didn't.
shoulders, man.
So what have you guys been reading lately?
So
Starting with
with
you, Scott.
with me, okay, I haven't been reading anything. I've just been writing. I should read more. I probably could make the time to read. I've been looking at I watched the last podcast episode and I
Hmm.
had the two books I was reading, Bloody Rose and Black Tongue Thief, and I have not like resumed. Suki, back up. You can stay over there. I have a
I
cat.
cat.
This is
I
Suki.
cat.
He has a cut now. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't resumed reading those two books, but they sit there in the shelf next to my TV. So every time I'm sitting there watching a show or playing a game, I see those two books
And you
and
go,
I
I
just
could
like
be
go,
reading right now.
I could be reading right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Another
pressing the X
time,
button
maybe.
and doing my video game
Yeah.
thing.
You ever watch a movie and it's just so awful that it ends up being good? Because you can't take it seriously, so you
I
just have an amazing amount of fun watching
I'm
this
trying to
awful
think
movie.
of a time that we had because I don't. When we watched Dragon Ball Evolution, I don't think
That
we
was
had
not a good
fun.
movie.
That was
We
awful,
That
but
hated that.
movie was
I don't know
the
if it
worst
was
thing I've ever
awful
seen in my
enough
life.
for us to.
Dragon Ball the movie transcended even that level of bad, where it was so bad that
Yeah,
even good bad movies were better than it.
Yeah, Street Fighter.
Street
Street
Fighter is
Fighter
good
was a
though.
Street
good bad
Fighter
movie.
Yeah.
Street Fighter
Yes.
is awful if you look at it from the perspective of a Street Fighter fan, but it's also incredible because it has like it takes itself so seriously while also
Yeah.
being really
Yeah.
comical. And the guy who played Bison, uh, literally carried that movie.
He did.
They're
He
they're
carried
coming
that
out with a
movie.
Street Fighter movie, a new one.
Another one?
Um,
Oh
I
man,
can't
too bad they
remember
can't
all
bring
the
that guy
details,
back.
but as far as I understand, like the guy working on it is an incredible filmmaker and like a huge Street Fighter fan, and he's gonna have like a good budget,
Oh,
and um,
Good.
they need
people
to
are
make at
people are
least
Excited.
excited about it.
they need to make at least one reference to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Just bring back that speech. Honestly, it was a good speech.
Dude, that
That
Just
speech
redo the
that
movie,
was
I
but better.
amazing.
I kid you not. That speech is actually incredible.
Edit in the speech
I
right
would
now.
have I would have followed that man. I would
I
have
showed
followed
that.
after that speech. I would have followed that man into battle.
I would have too, bro. It would have been amazing.
I watched that speech with somebody, one of my new friends. I don't remember who it was, but watching it again and just seeing like the one soldier who was like, he looked really angry. It always kills me. Like he looks like so ticked off. Everybody's kind of like everybody's in the crowd. All the soldiers are clearly like, yeah, they're like, man, this stinks. We're not gonna go home. We wanted to go fight Bison. But this one guy,
Guy
like,
is
he had the
super
he had the
angry.
eyebrows and he had the Gowron eyes going on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It looks like he's ready to charge off without being told.
Yep, he was gonna run across the water.
He was gonna
Yeah.
go anyway. Yeah. All right,
He's
Brandon,
got
what
a
have you been
Naruto
reading?
run system that- Oh boy. So last time we were together, I was reading the Gaunt's Ghost series, right?
Mhm.
That's if I remember
Warhammer
correctly.
40K, Gaunt's Ghosts.
Correct. Is that correct?
Yeah, you told us the
Okay.
story about how you were working
Oh yeah, I
somewhere
was
when
in
the
the
guy died,
commissary.
and
Okay.
you let out.
So
Let
I
out
started a
little...
new series, and it's another Warhammer series. Shocker, I know.
Hey, that's
It's
what you read,
called
man.
the series is called The Beast Arises, and it's I'm like almost all the way through. It's like 12 books, I swear. I go through books so quick. But I found bundles where it's like 4 books in one, so I don't have to stop every 8 hours. I can just go for
Sweet.
a long time. And it's about the one time like 1,000 years after the Horus Heresy where the orcs were actually really scary and brought the galaxy to its knees. And it's absurd. Basically, the orcs were left alone for too long without anyone messing with them. So for 1,000 years, they just built the strength and got a bunch of demi-Krorks, which that's a whole thing lore-wise. But the orcs became so strong that they gained really high intelligence, and then mastered gravitational technology and teleportation technology because of it.
Okay.
Crazy.
And so basically, the orcs got like 20 moons, hollowed them out into planetary fortresses, and then proceeded to teleport them at will around the galaxy. Wherever they
Wow.
wanted to send them. And then yeah, it's insane. And when they teleported them around, they were also equipped with, this is going to sound stupid, gravity whips.
Okay.
Orcs found the ability to make gravity whips.
What did those do?
It is a literal whip made of gravity. That's the only way I can put it.
it.
Do you know
Grabs
how a whip
things
works?
and rips them
I
apart.
know how a whip works. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I understand now. I understand
Now
now.
it's made
Yeah.
of gravity. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
It's stupid.
Wow.
Anyways, so yeah, they had like 20 of these moons. They went around, and then they find out like, hey, the orcs are led from this world that the Emperor conquered before the Horus Heresy, so we need to go put them down. They show up with a Primarch, which is like one step below the Emperor, mind you. And yeah, the orc is like 25 feet tall or something in advanced power armor, more advanced than what Space Marines can wear, and it's insane. And then it turns out there's 6 of those, and they're ruling the Orc Empire, and that's why they became so scary. But yeah, so it's like, orcs just get really scary, and then there's like, they wipe out one of the founding Space Marine chapters, so one of the original
Dang.
legions got wiped out in its entirety. So they had to reform it, The Primarch of the Salamanders, Vulcan, permadies. He falls into an orc generator with one of the demi-quarks. That lives. And he literally experiences and sees the orc psychic web. Like what connects all orcs, and he fundamentally understood the orcs right before he was perma-killed.
Wow.
Which drove him instantly insane.
Yeah. That's
He
To,
literally-
to fundamentally understand the orcs, is such a thing possible? Yeah. That's,
Yeah,
is to
and
go
you
insane.
instantly go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he fundamentally understood the orcs. He literally got to witness the two orc gods, Gork and Mork, fist fighting, which is absurd and amazing at the same time. Yeah, so it's just
Warhammer.
it's an insane book series, and it's not as narratively gripping as Gaunt's Ghosts is, but I would argue it is way cooler in scale and like the story told. So the basis of the story is way cooler, but the characters and narratives are not as interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole like subplot where like the High Lords of Terra got lazy and they need to be cold, and so when the Space Marine Giga Chad that reforms the Imperial Fist shows up, he's like the last surviving member of the original Imperial Fists. And he shows up and he's like, I'm in command now, and if you don't like it, I can just kill you all. And then they all go, yes,
Sweet.
sir, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, that was a cool plotline.
Wow. So,
But yeah.
are you gonna... You're obviously probably gonna finish that series, but
Oh, yeah.
do you have one you're gonna read next? That you're looking
I have
forward
no
to?
idea.
Or...
I might continue the Horus Heresy series, because I stopped like 16 books in.
16 of
And I
like
need
40, right?
Of like 56. Yeah, there's more. I need to actually finish that series, and I haven't
That's
yet.
so much, dude. For real.
Yeah, I know. That's why I stopped. I actually stopped the Horus Heresy to read the Siege of Terra series, because that's the end of the heresy, and I got impatient and wanted to know how it ended.
Funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, Warhammer is insane. Like,
There's
I was
so
trying to tell
much. There's so much of it.
I feel like that's the same comment we make every single
Yeah.
episode is Warhammer is insane, man.
there's so
the
much
only
of it.
applicable thing. I was trying to explain this to my stepmother because she was asking, like, what books would you read, Brandon? Would you have me read? I'm just curious. I'm not going to, but what books would you recommend? And I said, well, what's your favorite genre? And she really likes suspense and like crime mysteries and murder mysteries. And I was like, there is literally a series for that. It's called Watcher in the Rain. It's very obscure, but it's like this planet has a weird warp entity on it that is terrorizing the people, and it becomes a murder mystery where a local cop has to try and save some civilians and get them off the world, and it's wild.
Well,
There's also
Make
like
a good movie.
actually, yeah. There. What the heck? That's a chicken. I'm a squirrel. Sorry. There's also a series where you. I just broke you guys, didn't I?
I just imagined Brandon. I just imagined like you with a squirrel's head just going.
It's pretty much. It's like that dog from Up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's
You
me
are
in
a
a
dog.
nutshell, almost every day, dude. Anyways, so there's just a book series for everything. If you like there's one called the Eisenhorn series, which follows an inquisitor who's constantly hunting the enemies of mankind. He starts out as like a Puritan good guy, and as the series goes, he allows himself to use more and more of like forbidden stuff that he shouldn't be using to accomplish his job. And you see him go from a Puritan good guy to slowly corrupted by chaos and doing unspeakable horrible things while still helping the wider humanity, to the point where he gets excommunicated from the Imperium as a traitor. But he's still a good guy in the end. And it's just a crazy series, dude. Anyways.
yeah, it that's something I find so cool about Warhammer is not only do they release games in multiple genres, but like even the kind of stories they tell in general, they've it's not just all the same kind of thing. I mean, they've got
Yeah.
a
You have
wide
those.
for such a for a world known for being super powered and dark and uh, like hard to get into. I mean, there's so many actual entry points when it comes to, oh, you like this type of
Yeah.
game, here's this Warhammer game. Oh, you like this kind of story, here's this Warhammer book, right?
You
I
have
I
you
find
have
it
the
so
Gaunt's
interesting. It's super
Ghosts.
cool.
You have those Gaunt's Ghosts stories where it's Band of Brothers and Warhammer. You have the Caiaphas Cain series where it's that dark comedy where you follow an absolute coward who accidentally saves the day every time. You have those like spy style hard sci-fi inquisitors like Eisenhorn. You have, if you want just an epic war book, you have Hell's Reach, where you follow a bunch of space marines holding off an orc siege.
Yeah.
You have all these crazy, and they're all so vastly different. You have the Fall of Cadia, which is an epic war movie,
Classic.
basically without
Mhm.
space marines, where it's just like, hey, these regular humans, they held the world until it literally broke under their feet. Like,
Metal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of Hell's Reach, I haven't been reading anything. Uh, I've been reading the Bible like normal, but
What a segue.
I haven't been reading anything
what a
besides
smooth
that.
segue.
But soon, like here within the next few weeks, I'm gonna get back into um, I'm gonna reread some of the or re-listen because Audible to some of the Halo books I've that I really like, and also Hell's Reach because I wanna start making some. Um, I guess it'd have to be called a book report. Like it's not a book
Oh, that's
review or
cool.
something. So uh,
You're
Hell's Reach will
gonna
be one of those because I have it, and I'll do the Fall of Reach and maybe some other stuff. So
Nathaniel, I would
I will
love
be reading soon.
I would
I'm not
love
reading
to
right
read
now,
your
but I will be
first
reading soon.
draft on the Hell's Reach book report. I would love that. Or I'd love to sit in while you give the review for YouTube.
Why
That'd be
don't
awesome.
why don't have you read it?
I've read Hell's Reach like 4 times.
Okay, well when I start working on it,
Love it.
we can collaborate a little bit, and
Actually, Hell's Reach was my first novel.
that's why
Oh
I
wow.
got it is because I was trying to figure out, well, I want to start somewhere with Warhammer, and the internet said like this is a good place to start, so that's
Yeah.
why I
The
picked it
other
up.
quintessential starting one, if you want like a low impact on the wider setting, you can just get into it and have fun, is The Infinite and the Divine. Yet again, more variety. If you don't like the war and craziness, or it's still crazy, but it follows two immortal robot men where one of them collects artifacts and the other one is like a time manipulator. It starts with the time manipulator stealing an artifact from the archivist museum, and then that sparks a 10,000 year prank war between the two,
Ten
where a world
thousand.
yeah,
Holy cow.
and that's just casual numbers. It's like nothing to
Oh
them. It's
man.
like a 10,000 year prank war between the two where a world ends with getting exterminatus, and then they fight a star god at the end casually.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
And that's
Aren't these like
Necrons.
Necrons? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Necrons.
I
So
like
that's just
Necrons.
casual for
I need to
them.
listen to that one. Necrons are my favorite. So
They're so cool.
yeah.
Uh, the author for that series actually was widely disliked by everyone for a long time because he wrote Ultramarines really poorly, and then he had like 3 novels right before he stopped writing where everyone agrees, okay, you redeemed yourself with these characters. One of those is Trazyn the not Trazyn the yeah Trazyn the Infinite, where he's just like, imagine if a dude got bored after living 65 million years, so he's like, I'm gonna play Pokemon with the galaxy. Dude can literally just pull out a device and capture an entire battlefield and put it in stasis, and then he displays it on his planet-sized museum because he feels it is his sworn duty to document the history of the galaxy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
hilarious.
Okay.
Nate, you're going back to read the Halo books.
Yeah, I'll dive back into the Fall of Reach and what's the one after that? The Flood, and then I'll read Hell's Reach and go from there. Try to get touch on some book report stuff. So see how that goes. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm excited
interested
for
to
it.
do that because I wanna read more again. So I will be doing that.
I
All
think
right,
I read
let's.
The Fall of Reach a really long time ago, but I need to reread it as well. Thank you for giving me something to.
Yeah,
I might read that before I
it's-
read another Warhammer book.
I think it's a really good book. I really like it. All right, let's move on. So what have you guys been watching lately?
I have a lot to talk about. I watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm not just talking like movies or
Yeah.
TV, but also like maybe this super interesting YouTube show or whatever, right? Like what have you been watching?
All right. So, from the last time that we started or we did this, I was watching
October.
a lot of Phineas and Ferb. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So since then, as far as TV shows have gone, I've been Aitana and I binged watched all 3 seasons of DuckTales, the 2017
goodness.
remake. It is amazing. It is so good, and I've been wanting to talk about it on here for a while because it's phenomenal.
I
It's got
forget-
Ben Schwartz as one of the triplets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
that's
and
funny.
he plays like, Ben Schwartz. He kind of has this like that iconic voice. He plays
Yeah.
in
Yeah. That
every
one
character he
voice,
plays
that
in
one
essentially
kinda
sounds like
energy.
Sonic now.
Yeah.
Which Sonic 3, great movie. Phenomenal movie. Oh my gosh. But yeah, he plays Dewey Duck in DuckTales, and he's amazing. He's my favorite character.
I love
But
it.
it's good. It's really good. It's got like a whole like overarching story and a whole plot, and there's like characters, and like I found myself like choking up at certain points because I was like, I just want this to happen.
Wow.
So DuckTales,
Wow.
Arcane
I didn't
season
expect
2.
that.
Yeah, the
Scott, I
second
love
season.
how,
Go for it, Brandon. Go for it. I
how
should
you
let guys
emotionally
talk.
get involved in stuff. Can I just stop you to say that? I love how you are unashamed and you're like, yeah, dude, I totally like almost cried during this. I just love that. That's all I wanted
Yeah.
to say.
Hey man, all real men cry during Boromir's death scene.
Dang right they do. I don't care what anyone
That's
says.
a great scene. We just
And
spoiled
then they
that for
immediately
somebody
laugh
that
whenever
was
they
getting
say,
ready
"Oh,
to watch
please,
Lord
the
of the
movies
Rings
have been
for the
out
first
since
time.
I was 3."
Nathaniel,
In
those
20
movies
years,
are-
if they haven't seen
If
it,
they
then
haven't seen
who
it, it's your
cares?
fault. Yeah, it's their fault.
And while
They-
we're at it, Snape
they-
killed Dumbledore. Get over it.
I haven't seen any. I've seen like 3 of the Harry Potter movies. I've only seen the first 3, so I have no
I just-
idea about anything Harry Potter.
Did I just ruin that for you?
No,
No,
I don't
you
even remember who
just-
Snape is.
Good. Well, if I did ruin it for you, oh well.
Boo hoo.
Harry Potter is
Um,
even older than Lord of the Rings, so
Now you're just trying to make people mad.
Is it?
absolutely.
Is it
It's
actually?
funny.
I don't think it is.
No.
It is. Yeah, no, the books. The books are
Oh.
out, I think. Well,
Since
maybe.
from the Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings.
No,
was-
not the. I meant the movies, but yeah.
Oh,
no, you're right.
okay.
You're right.
I was about to
Because
say,
Fellowship-
hold on.
Fellowship.
There were
came
a
out
lot of
in-
like
in
raging
2000.
fingers in the comments, and
Right?
that was an actual
It was either 2000 or 01.
You
is when
besmirched
Fellowship
the
came
name
out.
of Tolkien.
Lord of the
Bah!
Rings.
Don't go off.
It was either
I think
2000 or 01.
Fellowship 2001,
I think it might have been 2001, 2002, 2003.
maybe.
They just
Yeah.
back to back are like, here's a 3-hour movie.
Yep.
Dude, they're great too.
Can't do that nowadays.
Nope.
I
They
mean,
can barely
you guys
release a
do.
3-hour game.
You could,
in 1
but
year.
you've got to have like good leadership and management and like good producers and a united cast and
In
not a bunch of
games.
studio intervention and so
I'm
you're
hoping that's
correct.
what
You
we get with
cannot have
Henry
that nowadays.
Yeah. So other than DuckTales, Arcane season 2, that's the League of Legends show.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Okay. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah, I had to put that in there. That came out. That was really good. I didn't cry, but there were some emotions there. There were definitely some emotions. My friends
I
that I
had
was watching it with, they all cried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that came out in December. I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3,
3.
and it was my movie of the decade.
What?
Which is
Okay,
crazy.
I
Might
gotta
even
see
be
this now.
Nathaniel.
It's on
Go watch it
Paramount.
on Paramount.
It's on
Get
Paramount. Dad
Abby.
wants to watch
Go
it.
do it.
So
It's got live and learn
for
all
real?
throughout the movie. For
Okay,
real.
but like instrumentally or
Yes.
for real vocals too?
Both.
And but is it
Yes.
Crush 40 or
It's the voices are from Crush 40, but somebody else remixed it.
okay, okay,
So it's Sonic Adventure 2, and it's
Dude.
got a little bit of Shadow the Hedgehog.
dude? Do they play I Am All of Me?
I don't know. I haven't actually
Oh,
listened to
horrible
like the
movie.
soundtrack, but I think they have like the if I remember correctly, they have the beginning like bass chords from Escape from the City. So somewhere
Okay.
in there, but it's all Sonic Adventure
Yeah.
2. Not Sonic Adventure 2. It's
Uh-huh.
got some Shadow the Hedgehog in there. Even a little bit of Sonic CD.
Okay. Didn't expect that.
End credits are fun. It's so good. It's so good. I
Yeah.
walked out of that movie and I was like, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Jim Carrey plays 2 roles in there, and
Yeah.
he's amazing.
He's
Wow.
always been a world-class actor.
Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog is the greatest thing ever. He's like super committed to the role. And
Wow.
it sounds like he's the best Shadow voice that I've heard in a long since Jason Griffith.
That's awesome.
Okay, I gotta watch this now. This
Yeah, watch it.
Sounds
Watch it
pretty
with
good.
Abby.
Yeah.
Specifically, watch it with Abby. Or if not, it's whatever. They can watch
Dad,
it on
yeah,
their own,
Dad
but-
wants to watch it too, so we'll just
Watch
get
it.
the fam
Ooh.
together. And I don't think Dad's seen the second one though, so
Yeah,
I still
Sonic, Knuckles, and
I
Tails.
need to watch the
You
second
gotta
one
see
with
it.
him. So,
Okay, Scott.
but the wedding
now I
scene is
wanna-
hilarious. The whole movie is
It's
worth
amazing.
that. The whole movie is worth that. That is the best part of the movie.
The
It makes
thing I liked
no
about the
sense. It
second
doesn't need to be in
movie-
there at all, but it is literally the best part. Like,
Exactly. You like. I say like a lot. I realized that after watching the last podcast episode is I say like all the time, and I'm trying not to. Yeah, but the second movie was great because you have this little side plot with the human characters, and they have this whole wedding thing that's going on in like Hawaii or whatever, and it has no reason to be a part of the movie, but it's like one of the best scenes.
I kind of like
maybe
that
that's
though,
just me, but,
obligatory
yeah.
thing happening in the background.
yeah,
It's
was
like a weird
great.
like rom-com kind of thing.
yeah.
I like that.
It was actually
Um,
great.
Yeah, so Sonic 3, and then Invincible Season 3 came out, so I've been watching that as it's been coming
Oh.
out. And
That's
that
that's
is-
animated, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's
I
got
have
like the superhero in
never-
it with the yellow costume or whatever.
I
Okay,
have never
okay.
watched Invincible, but that show is grim from the clips I've seen.
I mean, you have The Boys, which is that other Amazon show, which is I'm never
It's-
gonna watch that. It's just too much. But it's
No.
like the bad side of like said like again.
What if your superhero
Superheroes,
didn't
if
have
it was in
morals?
a very realistic
Mhm.
setting, it's like what if they were political figures and celebrities, and they look good. It's like Sky High on crack. If anybody's watched
no.
Sky High
Oh
from
my
like
goodness, dude.
2004
You
Disney
You just
with Kurt Russell.
I forgot that existed. You just
Yeah.
brought me.
You brought that movie from when Nathaniel
Hey, that movie
was
was
born.
great.
I totally forgot that existed.
But Invincible is
Wow.
it's taking superheroes but making it realistic.
Which is
A
awesome.
little more realistic as superheroes can be in a science fiction world. But it's kind of got like a Saiyan Saga Dragon Ball Z thing going on, because they tried to do the bad Superman thing, and I don't know. It's pretty cool. But it's very very bloody,
Mhm.
very bloody. So let's see, Invincible, DuckTales. I've had a lot. Like I've been watching
Yeah,
just
you've been
things.
watching a lot of shows.
Oh boy, I'm missing so many things.
Yeah.
I've been rewatching the first Star Wars movie. I definite Phantom Menace, not original trilogy.
Dude, great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you now, Nathaniel. I think the Phantom Menace is my favorite Star Wars movie.
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the more I
Okay.
watch it, the more I'm like, shoot, this is the Jedi just doing their job.
For real.
You know, they're just being peacekeepers, and we never get to see
Yeah.
that because every time we get to see the Jedi afterward, they're generals in a war. I mean, Star Wars, you get it. But
Something they're not suited for.
Qui-Gon is pretty awesome.
The best, dude. Qui-Gon is so good
Qui-Gon's a
and so
Chad.
wise that I kid you not, Mark Batterson has used that your focus determines your reality quote in multiple sermons and books. And he brings up Qui-Gon
That's
Jinn and is
hilarious.
like, "Let me connect the
It's a
bot.
killer
Like,
line,
let me
man.
like this is great. It's a great line. My
That's
goodness.
hilarious, actually. I love the
I-
fact that
I'm
a
gonna say
prolific
this
Christian
to
author
the
uses
camera.
Qui-Gon.
Jar Jar Binks is awesome. I love Jar Jar
no.
Binks.
What have you done? What have you
I've
just-
always loved Jar Jar Binks. Anyway,
Darth Jar Jar is a thing, bro. He's real.
yeah, I think
Just look at it.
that,
Darth
I'm
Jar
sure
Jar.
there are other things that I've been watching. Oh, I've been watching on a more serious note. On YouTube, there is a playlist of lectures done by Brandon Sanderson, who's a,
I
who's a
know
New
of
York
this.
Times bestselling author.
Yes. Wrote the
author,
Infinity Blade
offer.
books.
Did he?
Yes, I believe so. I believe
That's
it was him.
crazy.
That's why they're so good. That's why you're like, why does this phone game have such good novels?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But he is a professor at BYU, Utah, in creative writing for science fiction and fantasy. And I've been going. He puts his lectures up on YouTube. And so, Nate, I was gonna say, because we were talking about some D&D stuff earlier, I wanted to send those to you because I think you'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I have a few of them in my watch later. I've been going through that. I should come up to them soon. Like
cool.
I've been
Okay.
actually going through my YouTube watch later. I got all this stuff in it
Wow.
from all these years. I'm like I should finally start watching through this. And yeah, I've got some of his in there. So
I don't think I've
Um,
looked at my
find 'em
YouTube
soon.
watch later in years.
I have 0 in mine. I got rid of. I went through it and I deleted it all.
Was
I
it a
knew I
lot
was
of it
never gonna
when
go
you were,
back
like,
and watch
an
'em.
angsty teenager and you just haven't looked since?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's a lot of anime stuff that I don't do
Um,
anime. Actually, okay, there is an
Speaking
anime
of
that
anime,
we have been watching.
I was gonna say, speaking of anime, that's kind of what I've been watching recently. Believe it or not, I
Really?
started watching some animes.
okay,
Interesting,
we'll
interesting.
get there. We'll get there.
Go
but
ahead,
I
Scott,
want to hear
finish
Scott
yours.
finish this stuff.
Yeah, my last one is there's a Netflix original. Another Netflix show? I don't know. Whenever Aitan and I make dinner, we will turn on an episode of a show to eat dinner to. That's been our traditions. But there is a show on Netflix, probably pretty popular, called Delicious in Dungeon, and
Okay.
it's quite literally an anime that's all of it's full like D&D. It's like you got your halfling thief, you have your elf mage, your human fighter, and your dwarf barbarian. But the whole thing, the whole like premise of the show is the party dies in the beginning of the show, and they get resurrected, and they have to go back in the dungeon to get their things,
Okay.
but they don't have any money, so they're going to make their way down there, and in order to eat, they're making cuisine from monsters. So the whole show is making meals out of like different monsters and like things you can find
gosh.
in a mega dungeon. And so each like every
That's
like 3
wild.
episodes they go down another layer of the dungeon, and so there's like different things that they
So
find.
it's like a D&D cooking show.
Yes, it is.
That's super interesting.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool.
Wow.
That's it.
Anything?
Dude, that's
Actually,
cool.
Anything?
Real quick, Nate. In that, sorry, I know.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Real quick, the dwarf in that show is voiced by ProZD.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
he's great. He's
That's it.
hilarious. That man is hilarious. My goodness. Yeah, he's so funny.
I think his
okay.
name is Sungwon Cho.
Sungwon Cho. Yeah. Yeah. Any
Huh.
and so anything like new coming out though that you're looking forward to, or that you're gonna watch next that you know of?
Probably. I can't
Just
remember right
think
now.
of it.
My brain is blank. I did not write my notes out today.
All right, Brandon, what have you been watching? You said anime.
Yeah. So I've watched a couple of movies as well. Like I watched Hacksaw Ridge for the first time a little while back. That is a fantastic movie. I know, Scott, you're not a big fan of war movies, right?
Nah.
And Nathaniel, are you? Do you watch war movies ever?
I have nothing against war movies. I've just not seen many.
So,
But I know that's one of the ones that needs
Hacksaw
to be
Ridge might
seen.
be in the top 3 favorite movies of all time now.
For you?
It's
Oh
so
my gosh.
good.
Wow.
Andrew Garfield genuinely does an amazing job at portraying the character Desmond Doss. For those of you who don't know the basic plot, and it's based off a real character, Desmond Doss was a man in World War II who was a conscientious objector, meaning he refused to pick up a gun and kill people. So his way of serving in the military was to be a combat medic. Now you can imagine at the time, with American patriotism and things so high, the members of his unit were not happy with him for this. So they did everything in their power to abuse him and get him to leave the military. So it's going over that in the first half of the movie. In the second half of the movie is where they show, or he proves, it was a very good thing he did not, because this is based on a true Medal of Honor recipient. Bro single-handedly saves hundreds of Americans and even some Japanese soldiers from death by running around an active battlefield alone, being hunted by Japanese for days, and lowering these American soldiers off the cliff with nothing but a rope.
Wow.
And his medical skills. And it's so awesome. It's also incredibly brutal and gory, if I'm honest with you, but that's a war movie.
Yeah, that's war movies.
Sweet.
Yeah. The other stuff I've been watching is a little silly. Someone recommended to me a D&D-like show, Goblin Slayer. Now, I know the first episode is pretty controversial for a particular reason that I will not get into. All that being said, pretty solid, interesting show. It captures the spirit of, I think, what D&D is pretty well. Of like, you got this guy, and he does one thing, and a party just kind of forms around him. And he doesn't like the party initially, but then you see the actual, like, D&D party type dynamics build over time, and it ends up being interesting. Yeah, anyways, so I finished season 1 of that show. And then another goofy anime. Dude, animes have the craziest concepts, by the way.
Yeah.
I just gotta say that. There's another one called Dr. Stone, and it's of every human on the planet.
That's so good.
It's so cool, the concept. But every person on the planet gets turned to stone and petrified. And this one kid gets woken up by chance who happens to be like a really smart scientist. And it follows his like rebuilding civilization with his sole goal of sending humanity back to space.
Wow. 3,000 years after modern time.
Yeah. Okay. And they're literally restarting in the Stone Ages because they have nothing. And so, like, the first season, it's him waking up a few of his friends, and then they wake up this dude who's a scumbag and is, like, killing stone statues who are adults. And so he escapes after almost being killed by this guy. And then he finds, like, a village of people who were actual survivors, because, like, it's a whole long thing, but astronauts survived in space, landed from space to try and help humanity, realized they couldn't, and then proceeded to just make a colony, repopulate. So this town was the remnants or the descendants of those astronauts. And then he goes into this town and like introduces the kingdom of science to them and starts teaching them how to civilize. And it's really goofy and stupid, but also really fun. So it's just a good show.
Wow, yeah, I forgot about that show. I finished the second season and I was like, I'm waiting for the third season. I think they're at their fourth already or something.
Yeah, I have not finished it yet, Scott. We could finish it together.
I don't know if we'll find the time for that, but hey.
Probably not. But,
on top of,
we always make our lofty ideas.
On top of Goblin Slayer, the guy, I think it's the same author who wrote that show. He wrote another show that I watched called Overlord.
I've seen it.
It's set in the same world as Goblin Slayer.
Okay.
I've seen bits of it. I have not watched it.
That's that one show you got like the books for, right, Scott?
Yeah, I have the
Okay.
light novels for it. It's about a guy who it's kind of got like the Sword Art Online thing where it's like guy gets trapped in video game,
Hmm.
can't get out. Um, but it's like I said, like again, it's like 100 years in the future. There are the kind of video games where you can put a VR headset on and it puts your consciousness in the game. And so this guy is playing an MMO in VR, and he's the last player because nobody plays it anymore. And then he finds out the developers are shutting the game down, so they shut the game down while he's still inside, and his brain gets like sent. His brain, his character, all the things that his guild made, gets sent to this world, fantasy world, which is the same world that Goblin Slayer is in. And so he's a lich. His character in the MMO was a lich, and so he's a lich that rules over a kingdom that his guildmates made. And all the guildmates look to him as the supreme ruler. Not guildmates, all the NPCs that
Hmm.
the guild made look to
And
him
he's
as
a
the
good guy?
ruler. He's a good guy that has to run a bad guy organization.
Oh wow.
What?
And it's amazing. Like, go
That's
if you
goofy.
like Goblin Slayer, you'll probably like that. And just knowing you, Brandon, and your kind of
His tastes.
your kind of style, it's got kind of a Voyager's Rest feel to it for referencing our campaign.
Ooh, I
You
love
you
that.
will enjoy it.
Yeah, because I'm not. I like a good villain. Like I love a complex villain.
Yeah.
Which
He
sadly,
has to learn to be.
Doctor Stone did not give me, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it's all right. The villains in Doctor Stone don't need to be good because the show is so dumb. I love it. But
Anyway,
yeah, no, yeah. So if Overlord genuinely just has a great villain, you've just piqued my interest. I'm watching them all on Amazon, by the way. So is it available there?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. I thought I watched something else on Amazon recently. Oh, have you guys watched the first season of Secret Level? It's been out for a little while now.
No, I haven't. But we watched the three of us watched
Yeah.
the Warhammer episode together.
I've seen
What'd
a
you think
few
of
of
that?
them.
It was, dude, it was awesome. It was super cool. It was super cool. I
Yeah,
still want to see the Mega Man one.
I
7 minutes
do too.
long.
Oh, dude, that's so
That's
short.
it? It's only 7 minutes?
Yeah. They have him fight one robot master and get his armor, and it all happens in the span of 5 minutes. Mega Man.
Which
That's
Robot
cool
Master?
though.
Oh, Bomb Man.
Good choice. Okay.
But he's like the size of a Jaeger.
Oh,
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it's interesting. It's a weird spin, but like the voice they got for Rock, they called him Rock. They don't
Rock,
call him
okay.
Mega.
okay.
The voice they got there for Rock, Dr. Light looks like the Chad meme. Like he looks like a big buff, like I don't know,
Yeah.
big buff doctor man.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's cool. It's everything that I wish the old TV show could be. It's got the old Ruby Spears cartoon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. With
It's
that
cool.
one
It,
guy.
it actually
What's his
reminds
name?
me of the IDW
Duo?
comics.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I've seen that. I've seen the D&D episode, which was really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I know
I-
they've got like a God of War one too, right?
No,
I don't.
No?
No, not yet. I think
Okay.
they're working on one.
no, the God of War, the little like clip they had, the half a second clip they had in the trailer, it was going to be for like a PlayStation, stars. So I don't know. I didn't watch all of it. Like I said, I cherry picked. Pac-Man
Yeah.
was cool. Armored Core, that was a good episode. Had Keanu Reeves.
Dude. Keanu Reeves is a legend. I don't care what anyone
He
says.
is.
I was gonna say a fun fact.
I
for
feel
all the
like
nerds out there who care.
this show is us constantly just like every episode we're like, man, Keanu Reeves, Henry Cavill, and Jim Carrey are just awesome.
We're gonna
Right.
manifest it so that one day the three of them are on an episode IRL.
They're gonna be in
Uh,
place of us.
In place of-
No!
okay. Okay, but
Nathaniel,
who's
get to
but-
work.
but who's in place of who? Is the question. I guess Henry Cavill's in place of Scott.
But I want Henry Cavill.
Nathaniel, I think Henry Cavill would be in place of you.
Okay, but Brandon's
Really?
Jim Carrey,
Yeah,
right?
Brandon's
Why am
Jim
I Jim
Carrey.
Carrey?
Not even a question.
I don't
And
get
that
a
makes-
choice.
funny one.
and that makes and Scott being Keanu makes sense because everyone likes Scott.
I'm flattered that you think I'm funny, but absolutely, Scott, you are just as funny when you
Not
want
a
to be.
fan. You're the funny guy here.
Brandon, is there anything else you've been watching or anything you're looking forward to or?
Uh, Same as last time, man. I can't wait for Henry Cavill to finish his Warhammer show. But
Yeah,
we already all
Man.
know what I'm looking forward to.
for sure.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be so much fun.
What if you ever have to ask what are Brandon's hobbies?
Warhammer.
It's pretty easy to find out. Warhammer. I like video games, and I like hanging out with my boys playing D&D. I am the quintessential nerd. I
What
am
about
just
you, Nate?
a huge nerd.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I've
Nate, what are
been
you watching?
I don't really watch TV. You guys know that. I will eventually watch TV. I'm wanting to. I have an iTunes card. I plan on. I was looking at it the other day on buying and watching through the old animated Justice League.
Oh man.
Yeah, I want to watch that show again, so I'm totally gonna do that. But uh, lately I've been getting back into watching speedrunning. Um, Super fun, super interesting. Still, my favorites are still my favorites. I love watching Zelda games. Love watching um, Metroid speedruns. Soulsborne games are always also really cool. Um,
Did you
and
watch?
then,
Was it Katowice that or no Blast that happened recently?
oh yeah, um,
Oh, that was a wild tournament.
did I watch that? I watched Kato. So we're talking about Counter Strike now. I watched
Yeah, whatever the last tournament
I
was.
watched Kato. Um, I Oh, you're talking about PGL.
I
Uh,
think that's what it was.
yeah, I haven't watched PGL, but I've looked at all the highlights and stuff like as they were coming out on HLTV. But yeah, I haven't watched any Counter Strike in
Ugh,
a long
that's
time.
sad. I'm
Well, a
sorry.
long time being like 3 4 weeks or something. Since Kato, I haven't watched anything since Kato. But yeah, I've been getting back into speedrunning and watching that, and also there's this one YouTuber named Zeltic, and he makes like he's basically Vati Vidya is to Dark Souls as
Mm-hmm.
Zeltic is to Zelda. And
It's
so
got the
he's
Oh,
got
lore
that's
all
awesome.
videos.
these all these Zelda lore videos, and those are super interesting. That basically what happened is and I didn't know I'd never watched anything by him, but um, I was watching like a Twilight Princess speedrun or something, and that showed up in my recommended something by him. I think like a Zelda timeline thing, and I just find his stuff super interesting. Yeah, it's Zelda
Cool.
lore, awesome. Um, so I've been watching that. But then if we're talking about what's coming out, man, they since our last episode they dropped the Superman trailer.
Oh yeah.
Dude, come
Oh,
on. Look,
It
you
looks
guys
good.
look at
gotta be
my
hyped for
phone.
that.
This is my
Other camera,
wallpaper,
Nate.
everyone. This
There
I
you
need to
go.
show it to both. This is my
Oh
wallpaper.
yeah.
It's
Nice.
Superman. I'm so excited. It's gonna be
If I'm not
awesome.
mistaken, they're trying to go back to the old style of Superman from like the 50s, right?
It's
Or
supposed
the
to be
vibe of
like
it.
60s classic Superman. The
Yeah.
basically mission statement of the show or like thesis or whatever is
The
how does a
promise.
guy who stands for truth, justice, and the American way exist in a world that doesn't value those things anymore?
Which is
And
wild that
so
they went with that
it's
mission statement
classic
Yeah.
because like
Superman, dude.
I
It's gonna
love
be
they went with that mission
awesome.
statement and put their foot down because that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm
That
so excited.
a studio has the guts to do that right now.
And the
I
trailer was
like
Like I
so
love
good.
it.
The music was great. The suit
It has
looks
some
good.
cameos in there.
It's got the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crypto.
which I didn't expect.
Crypto. It's got
Dog.
Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Green
Yeah,
Lantern.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Uh,
Guy
Lois
Gardner of
looks
all
super
the
comic
lanterns.
accurate. Like, yeah, it looks great. But they're also making that Lantern show too. So we've got
Hmm.
Guy Gardner, but they also have just started
Oh.
filming the Hal Jordan
They
and
have a
John Stewart
Hal
show.
and John
So
Stewart.
yeah,
That's so cool, man.
Green Lantern, man.
The
It's
best
gonna be
lanterns.
on TV and movies again. It's gonna be cool. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Superman. Um, that's probably the biggest thing. Also, way on the horizon, I know that they've uh, I think there's apparently a release date for the next Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
I
Captain
don't
America was
know
good, by the
much
way.
anything about that, but I'm
Um,
excited to see more Spider-Man movies. You saw
yeah,
Captain
I
America,
know.
Scott?
I saw Captain America at a drive-in movie theater.
I didn't know
That's
they
awesome.
still had those. How does
I
that
know
They
did
do.
Marvel's been
did you
having
cue in on your
a.
radio and stuff or
Yep.
yeah?
Hmm.
Dude.
Yeah.
I know Marvel had a wake up call after the last few movies flopped, so I know their new ones they've been putting a lot of
Uh,
extra effort in.
I really liked this Captain America movie because it was Falcon's first time. Well,
Mhm.
there's a new Falcon now. It was
Oh,
Anthony Mackie's first time
yeah,
being
yeah.
Cap. And yeah, he has a sidekick who is the
That's
new
cool.
Falcon.
Oh, that's
Um,
really cool.
but it feels before if you go see the movie, go watch Incredible Hulk from 2008.
Oh, is it the
Okay.
same continuity?
Yes,
Well, Incredible
and
Hulk has
it
always
picks up that
been
movie.
Let's
feels like-
go!
It feels like an
Wow.
Incredible Hulk sequel.
okay.
Like Nate, all the,
Dude.
you know
Which-
that those villains
Which
that we
I
were
love
waiting for
that
them
movie,
to
dude.
bring
Incredible
back.
Hulk is
The
I mean it's a
only
little
reason
short,
that
but I
movie,
think that movie is so good.
the
Yeah.
only reason that movie didn't get a sequel is because what's his name? The guy who played the Hulk
He didn't
back
keep
then.
playing Hulk, yeah.
Well, he was being a drama queen for the
Yeah.
studio, and so they're like, "We're not dealing with you."
As
He
far
was
as
gonna
I
be in
understand, they
Avengers.
just couldn't agree on his on just how much to pay him. That was just the thing. Is
Yeah.
he wanted more, and they
And they were like, "We're just starting this whole thing.
which is
we
the
don't have
same
that money."
the same reason why War Machine and Iron Man 1 is what's his name? Rhodes is different in the next movie, right?
Mhm.
Is cuz
Yeah.
he wanted more, and it sucks too because you realize like if those guys had just stayed on for
They would have been
They would
a
be
little bit
actors.
longer, then they obviously
be
would
like
have been paid
billionaires
more
by now.
because the MCU blew up. But when those guys, but those are two actors in the first two MCU movies, so
Yeah.
I think that's what made
Obviously
Robert
wasn't as
Downey
big back
Jr.
then.
such a genius pick for Iron Man. Is obviously Robert Downey Jr. is the perfect Iron Man, but also if you look at the situation RDJ was in when he got the Iron Man role, he was almost like his career was pretty much over.
Mhm.
So he was a perfect choice not only because he embodied Iron Man so well, but because what is he going to do? Say no to the paycheck? No. You're grasping at straws, brother, to make sure you're not, out of a job.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He killed it.
Great job.
Yeah,
That's a
and
great
then-
movie.
He killed it.
Absolutely.
And now he is Iron Man.
Yeah.
Name anyone more iconic right now,
Well,
Anyways.
there's not, and he popularized the character. I mean, Iron Man
Mhm.
was if you were gonna make a Marvel movie, it was gonna be X-Men or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Those were the
Yep.
popular, and Hulk. Those were like the popular guys.
It's
Uh,
kind of funny to think about
And so
how
Iron Man, that movie
in
being so
2000
good is why why superheroes are now so popular nowadays, but also why Iron
Mhm.
Man is considered not to be niche.
the funny
Right.
thing was back in like 2008, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor were kind of C tier heroes.
Which is funny
to the
'cause
wider
Thor was like
populace.
easily
Yeah.
one of the best.
Yeah,
Now he's kind of just a goofball.
a fat goofball.
Yeah.
He's not fat.
Well, he's
anymore.
not fat anymore.
Is he? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Love and
They need
Thunder. He
that.
had his training montage, and he got fit again.
Still a
think
goofball though.
Thor,
I prefer
I
the,
like,
the
I
more
like and dislike what they did with
dramatic
him at
take
the
on
same
Thor.
time.
So
Yeah, I think they
Love
did a good
Thor
job in
1.
Infinity War. Because like you could see there was he was kind of funny, but there was also
Yeah.
like there was still the seriousness to him.
They
And it was like the
balanced
humor
it,
was there to
yeah.
kind of hide
yeah,
like some of the seriousness to it. It was cool.
yeah.
But then
they were able
it
to
got fat.
kind of like. It's interesting because the funny Thor we had in Ragnarok, I think would have felt out of tone. I don't think would have fit the tone of the Avengers of Infinity
Mhm.
War. And so
No.
because
I-
Thor
I
back
do
in
think
Avengers 1
so.
and 2 was still serious, so bringing him into Infinity
Yes,
War,
but
they
I
kind
do
of had
think
to like dial back the humor a little bit, but they still have like fundamentally changed the
I do
character.
genuinely believe that Thor really did need a rework though, because after the Thor: The Dark
After
World,
Dark World, he definitely needed a rework. Yes, that
because and even Chris
is for
Hemsworth,
sure.
not Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, it is Chris
Yeah,
Hemsworth,
yeah.
right?
Chris Hemsworth.
We
He
talk
was
about
just
him a
I
lot on
was
the
thinking
podcast
Liam,
too.
but like he went to the producers like, look, I've read some Thor comics. He's nothing like this. We need to fix this. This is
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
And when you got the buff Australian guy correcting an American about an American superhero, you know you got a problem.
It's hard though because Thor: The Dark World, it you watch it and you can tell like, man, this could have been it's not good. It's not good. But you watch it and you're like,
It could have been.
this could have been a good movie. So what happened? Did it get botched in the edit? Was it rushed? Like, was it studio met? Was it an Iron Man 2 situation, which I think still
I think it was just
ended up.
badly written.
I think Iron Man 2 still came out as an incredible movie somehow, even when you realize like all the studio meddling involved in that is the reason why it's generally thought to not be as good as the first one, but still, like they were able to make those first few MCU movies up to Avengers with pretty much no studio interference. And that's why we think of all those as so good. And then after that, it started to get a little crazier. So, uh, Thor: The
All
Dark
of their
World, I
intro
just don't
movies
know
are
what happened to that film.
I think it was just poor writing. Real talk. Best Spider-Man.
Best Spider-Man? Best Spider-Man? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It
should
can be
already know.
personal
Wow.
favorite. It can be personal favorite.
I
I would say Tobey Maguire.
I guess I liked Tobey Maguire the best as I guess playing the character, and I like his movies, but there are also some issues I have with his movies that I don't. I think his films are still the best, but there are some issues I have with those that I don't have with the other ones, and those are with characters specifically, not with him. Like him as Peter Parker as Spider-Man, I think is the best. If we're talking about movies, if you want to start getting into animated and other stuff, then I don't
Yeah.
know, but I guess Tobey Maguire is my favorite.
I like
Okay.
Andrew.
You like Andrew Garfield?
I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Well, I guess my question is, so I think each rendition has captured a different aspect of the character really well, but
Yeah.
no rendition has ever captured all of them really well. If that
Yeah.
tracks
Tobey
at all.
Maguire was a really good,
He's a really good Parker.
like original Spider-Man. I mean, even the suit was designed to,
Yeah.
with the lines, was designed to look like the original.
I think the Tobey Maguire
Amazing
version
Fantasy,
really captured
right?
the idea of what Spider-Man was,
Yeah,
and then
the burden of being Spider-Man as well.
yeah,
The
and then
difficulties
Andrew
of being
Garfield's.
Spider-Man.
I think Andrew Garfield's really nailed, like, he's a goofy high school kid,
Yeah.
but he's really smart, and
As
they
well
kind of
as
captured his personality better
yeah,
with
yeah,
Andrew Garfield.
did that very well.
I think, yeah. I don't know what Tom Holland does better. I think it captures maybe his. I don't know what. And I'm not
the
as
biggest
familiar
thing with him is we were just super excited to see Spider-Man in the MCU,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's obviously done a great job acting, but the there I think a lot of people have complaints about the character.
Yeah,
And
but that's
that's
also
not
not Tom
not
Holland's
anything to
fault.
fault the actor, right? But it's just the way
Yeah.
they wrote him and his
Like one of my
stories and
biggest
stuff.
issues with Tom Holland's Spider-Man again has nothing to do with Tom Holland, but it's like, okay, it feels like he has been given too much.
Hmm He didn't
Like
have
he didn't have to
his
earn
great
it.
power comes a great responsibility moment
Yeah.
until his third movie, and it was
Until-
incredible.
yeah.
But
It was amazing, but also
Yeah.
like it feels like he didn't earn a lot of the stuff he has. Like his suit, he didn't earn that. It's probably just because the MCU is like, look, we got to get him in. Yeah, he's been doing this for a while. Tony Stark saw him on a camera. Yeah, he's already been doing it. Let's get him in.
I think he earned his suit by the end of the first
that
one.
was the plot of the
because
first
that was
movie.
the whole
Yeah.
point of the movie was if you can't, you know,
If you're nothing
If you
without the
can't
suit,
do
you
it, I'm
shouldn't
gonna
have
take it away from
Yeah.
you. So he had to earn his suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely didn't. I don't know, the Iron Spider suit in
It smells
Infinity
like a new
War
car
that
in
came out
here.
of.
Yeah.
He's so,
Well,
so
that
silly.
is
That came out of left field because he like denied it, and then here comes the next movie, Infinity War, and then he gets it, and he's like, "Oh, okay." It's like, I don't know, that rubbed me the wrong way
Felt
when I
odd.
saw it
Yeah.
in theaters.
Yeah, that's kind of bugged me a lot about it too. Is just like, all right, how did he get this? Oh, Tony Stark built it for him. Okay, so he's just baby Iron Man.
The thing is, though, his third movie was so good.
It was.
It was
and,
amazing.
And specifically, like, I wouldn't. I am not a huge fan of multiverse stuff. That being said, it was awesome because it's totally opened up the possibility for us to get to see the other Spider-Man again. But the thing I love about his movie, and I'm seriously like, man, why has this not happened yet? Is him. Well, and I guess it had happened before, but just the whole thing about him wanting to cure the villains. That's just
That's
that's
cool.
core
It
Spider-Man,
really
dude.
captured-
That's core Spider-Man.
I guess, yeah, that's where I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man shines above others. Is his kindness, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his willingness to forgive and try and help. And even though he had that moment in that movie where he didn't want to forgive at all, right? He tried really, really hard before he finally snapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that captures the morality of Spider-Man. That's what makes Spider-Man such a great hero, is the fact that this guy
He's
killed
not
30
perfect.
people and is a bad human being. I'm still going to do my best to not only keep them alive, but fix them.
Yeah.
I want to help them recover. It's the same thing that makes the Flash such an amazing hero, is the Flash is genuinely kind to his villains.
Mm-hmm.
Flash
You
is
know?
great.
I love that in a hero. Someone you can identify with and be like, yeah, this guy's a G.
There's Nathaniel, you were speaking about the old JL. I think it's JLU, the Justice League Unlimited.
There's
animated
Justice
show?
League, and then there's Justice League Unlimited. There
Right,
are
I'm
two
talking
different
about
ones.
in Unlimited. There was a Christmas episode with the Flash, where I think it's the Ultra Humanite, one of the gorillas. It's not Grodd.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Ultra Human. I think it's Ultra Humanite.
Yeah. I think I've seen
Where
it.
he has this whole side. A lot of the episodes in that felt like filler. This whole episode where he takes the Ultra Humanite, and it's a Christmas theme thing, and it ends with him being able to give children toys.
Yeah.
And then I think Flash gives him a book so that he can read something in jail.
He also
But
gives
it
him an
just
aluminum
shows-
Christmas tree.
Is that what it is?
He gives
Yeah, well,
him
we all know what
something
it's
for
like,
joy.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
one
really
of the examples of even his villains like the Flash. And Batman the Brave and the Bold, there's another episode where the Flash is gone, and Kid Flash and Jay Garrick are trying to clean up Central City, but they're kind of arguing. And all of the Flash's villains, his rogues gallery, are all like, man, we miss the old Flash.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, when they save him and he goes and kicks all their butts, they're all like, is it him? Could it be? It's our Flash. And they're like
Yeah.
happy with glee as he's wrapping them up.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so
yeah.
cool.
Flash
Flash is the kind of
love it.
superhero where after he saves the day, he sticks around to make sure that the cops come and that everybody is, like the police get
Safe
there or
and-
the ambulance is there.
Yeah.
He's very much that friendly neighborhood,
He's great,
like
dude.
Spider-Man. It's
He's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of why I like the Flash so much. Yeah.
He's just,
Me
both.
too.
again, a good
Both
dude.
of those guys. Yeah.
That's what makes a good hero, is someone who's not only like, oh, I'm a superpowers and I do this crazy thing, but also someone who genuinely struggles with their morality, but at the end of the day chooses to be a
Chooses to
good
be
moral
good.
person.
Yeah.
That's what makes a great hero, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is it's the choice of being good. It's one of the hardest things. Like, Nate, I'm sure you have this too. Like, as a human being in general, one of the hardest things of being a human is choosing to do the right thing every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so if I can get
Or choosing to
in a
do it with the right attitude.
yeah, it's so hard to do. It's so hard. And so seeing a hero, someone who should, by definition, um, I guess, embody that is it's just heartening if that's the
That's
hero you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into video games. Scott, what
Uh-oh.
have you been playing?
Oh boy. All right. Well, I'm gonna save my big one for last because I just spent 15 hours on it in the last 2 days.
Wonderful.
Um, uh, I think we played in October. We played a lot of WoW.
Mhm.
So that was a thing that happened. And then after Christmas, I kind of like said like again. There we go. We should get a like counter. I think
A
every
like
time I
counter?
say like a
You have to
Krillin
donate
owned
$1.
counter, have like a little
A like,
like
okay.
Scott like counter, and that
Yeah.
would be amazing. I know
That's
it's extra
every
free,
basically
sorry.
just is this guy from California or not?
Oh my gosh.
Every time you say like, you have to donate a quarter to charity.
I went through a nostalgia kick. I said it again.
Oh yes, I heard
And
this.
I went through all of just Sly Cooper 3. I've never beaten that game, but
It's
because the
incredible.
disc that Nate and I had when we were young was scratched. You remember back when
Scratchy
PlayStation 2 games would get
Oh.
scratched and you couldn't use them?
Yeah.
Um,
And we never had a resurfacer or anything like that.
yeah, we got up to the second to last episode in the game, which was the pirate episode. And after the first mission, the game was just destroyed. Couldn't play anymore. So I finally got to go through and beat the game. And let me tell you, I was not missing much because once you hit that pirate episode, the game is like, it's
The
boring.
ending's cool.
All
though.
the nostalgia is in all the ones before then. The ending is cool. I mean, that
Yeah.
fight playing as Penelope against the pirate, man, that's
Oh,
cool. And then the end of the game
the
was,
end of the game is
oh
super
my
cool.
gosh, it kind of annoys me because you get this whole laser grinding power where you can ride
Mhm.
rails, but they're laser beams. You get that at the end on the last level, and you never get to use it again.
Yeah.
And they never bring it up in the fourth Sly. Never happens. It's like he's never gotten that ability.
Yeah.
So that kind of stinks.
That game was
Um,
rushed. They
yeah.
didn't they had to cut the clue bottles, and I think they had another
Ugh.
world they wanted to add. Like it,
Really?
but it's still a really good game. It's a lot of people's favorites. I think 2 is most Sly fans' favorites, but I think 2 was the
Yeah.
best received as well. But yeah, a lot of people still like 3.
So I beat that, and then I went back and started playing Knights of the Old Republic.
I'm not brave
Um,
enough. You are
Yeah,
braver than I, Scott.
I played it a lot when I was like, I said like again when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through. I became a Jedi. I beat the Kashyyyk planet, and then I was going on to Manon, and that's when I stopped. I got up to Kashyyyk again, and then I stopped playing for a little bit because I got distracted with some other games. And then I started playing The Witcher 3 and
Okay.
Alien Isolation at the same time. I started these, and then
Okay.
Monster Hunter Wilds came out,
Yeah.
and I immediately deleted them and downloaded that game. And I have put in. I'm HR 10 now.
Already, dude?
Oh, good
Already.
grief,
Yeah, it's
bro.
I'm in
seriously
high
like
rank.
I I totally forgot that game existed. I know
Yeah.
PlayStation had a state of play recently, and they
Mhm.
had like a little bit of a trailer on there, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I was just like listening to the state of play while like making dinner or something, and I was the my thought with Wilds was just went, okay, this is like Monster Hunter World 2. You know, I'll probably pick it up. It'll
Yeah.
be kind of fun. But dude, the little bit I've seen since it's come out, which is really the first time I'm seeing anything, I'm just like, oh, it's blown me
It's
away. It
awesome.
looks awesome. Yeah.
It's
So how's it? Tell me about it.
So Monster Hunter World came out, and it totally changed the way that the game played. And then Monster Hunter Rise came out, and it kind of brought it back a little bit. And they introduced a bunch of like ninja stuff, like Naruto running up walls and all that. And they added the mount system where you have like these giant like dogs that you could ride on. It looks like they took everything that was great about World, and then all the good things from Rise, which there
didn't
wasn't
play
a
that
whole lot
one.
to call home about. Um, and then they
Sure.
put it into this game. But this game, I think, feels a lot more like what Worlds was supposed to be. I think it does a good job at being World better than World does.
That's
Um,
good.
Which is wild.
the idea with World is you're going to a new place that we haven't discovered before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you get there and it's, oh, actually you're part of the Fifth Fleet, so you're the fifth wave of hunters that's come over. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of people. There's a whole hierarchy. You have to go through the commander and the admiral, and that's everything. But in this game, you're the first wave, which means the highest ranked hunter there is you and this other lady. So everything that happens in game happens immediately. You know, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but
Mm-hmm.
they added a lot of cool things.
That's
Like your
super cool.
character talks now. You have voice lines in the game, in cutscenes, and even outside of the cutscenes. And they have an interesting way of how you can like choose your voices. You have 6 voices instead of like 40. That's has been in recent games. Actually, since back all the way at like 2004, you have 6 voices, but you can change the pitch. So you can go 10 pitches lower or 10 pitches higher.
Okay.
And the character creation is pretty much the same as in World.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing with your Palico, but your Palico has a voice now. They talk.
Palico also has a voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they've always
But you
talked.
can change it to cat. You can change it to cat language if you want.
I still haven't finished World, so all of this sounds like a lot to me.
Well, we finished. We never. You never finished.
You've pretty much
Iceborne.
seen
You finished World,
most
but
of
you never
it.
finished Iceborne.
Yeah, but if you haven't finished the DLCs, have you actually finished the game?
Well, it's the first Monster
you
Hunter to
finished
have
the
like
base game.
actual paid DLC. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Although Iceborne did add a lot.
it did.
With
It's
its later
also-
on monsters.
It's also my first ever Monster Hunter.
It's true. True. So you would be going into Wilds.
Yeah.
Actually, you would probably transition to it pretty well, Brandon.
I'll pick up Wilds once I review 3 Ultimate.
Oof.
Scott,
Oof.
would you run through
good
Wilds
game.
with me if we ever have time?
It's crossplay, so I could, yeah.
Oh, is it actually?
It's actually crossplay now. So I've been playing on PS5 and it looks amazing. Yeah, I like it. It's a cool game. The story, it's a Monster Hunter story. So it's corny.
Sometimes
But-
they're really cool though.
It's cool. It's got a lot of things that I'm glad that they're hitting on because it's all about the ecosystem and protecting the ecosystem, and like how do these weather patterns? Why does it do this?
Yeah.
Is this monster a threat to the ecosystem? If it is, the guild authorizes you to go kill this thing.
Yeah, that's
And-
the whole point of the hunters is it's
Yeah.
to maintain all that. Yeah.
It's easier. It's a
Well,
lot
the
easier than
hunters-
World.
The hunters aren't supposed to be just mindless psychopaths that kill all the monsters. They're supposed to be
Correct.
doing it for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
It
well,
makes
then
you
that's
feel
like
like a part of the
criticism
ecosystem.
people have of Monster Hunter, but they're just not educated. Like the hunters are literally basically super soldiers like that. This is what they do is they go and they kill
Mhm.
these crazy monsters that will destroy the natural order of things and plunge the world into chaos if they're not managed.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter, man.
It's cool.
Yeah.
They do the mount thing again, but it's not dogs. You have like these like velociraptors that you ride around on,
Oh,
and it's cool.
I'm a
It's cool.
sucker. I am a
Yeah.
sucker for a mount,
Velociraptors?
dude.
Yeah, you have these
Wow.
raptors, and they have like a weapon sheath, so you can bring a second weapon along with you.
Bro, I am
Um,
a sucker for a good
I'm
mount.
predicting it now. They're gonna cross over with Final Fantasy, and you're gonna be able to have a chocobo.
That would be so good. They're practically chocobos. They can glide and everything.
Yeah, dude. The
That is
Final
awesome.
Fantasy Twitter has literally like, if I remember correctly, I might be thinking of someone else, but it might have been them or Square, who retweeted Monster Hunter and was like, "Congratulations on the release of your game." And I'm like, I'm just waiting for the crossover material at this point.
Well,
They've
World.
done it with
World
they did it with
had,
World, so
World had
yeah.
a couple of crossovers. They had a Witcher crossover for World,
did?
which was wild. I to this day still hate that fight.
I thought it
Leshen?
was fine.
Oh my gosh, I struggled with the Leshens
You never
so
beat
bad
it,
for some
right?
reason. Yeah, I did.
I never beat it
Eventually.
either.
It is so hard, unnecessary. I don't know why I struggled. I really genuinely struggled with though.
It was a
Oh
little
my
long.
Um, yeah, lots
Monster
of Monster
Hunter,
Hunter.
from my experience in Monster Hunter, which is admittedly not a lot, I feel like it's a large amount of endurance battles.
Yeah,
Like it really tests your patience and endurance more
it
than
feels
any
like
other
it.
game I've played.
It's
Like,
like every monster you fight, it's a boss battle.
yeah,
Thankfully,
Yeah,
with this game,
which is awesome.
they it doesn't feel as much like a boss battle. Like I was saying earlier, it's easier. I've only fainted twice, and I'm at HR 10.
Wow.
Maybe that's just because I'm playing with the longsword, which is, the weapon that everybody uses.
All about
yeah,
But
but
that
aren't
sword
you
and shield.
also?
I also have 14 years of experience, so there is that.
Yes, I was gonna say that. It's not you early game monster hunter. It's not it's not a challenge when you know what you're
Sure.
doing. So
Nate, they have it. They've got a lot of Monster Hunter 4 in there. It
yeah,
feels like Monster Hunter 4 meets Wilds or
which
meets
that was
World.
kind of I think that might be the one I. Well, that's the one you and I spent the most time with. I think was
Yeah,
four.
you got a lot farther than I did on that.
I don't know that you ever beat the campaign, but we did
Me
a
neither.
lot of the multiplayer together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
we
they
got
have
super
an
far in that.
NPC in
Oh,
there
no.
that I wonder if you would recognize who the NPC is because they've grown up.
It's an existing
In
character
Well, I
from
mean,
a
it
Wilds.
previous
is.
game.
Um, I don't know. Do you want me to tell you? It's not something that they like necessarily like say this is who this is, but it's one of those things where you have to like really study her
Yeah.
character design and go, oh,
Is it a
that's who
spoiler?
that is. No, it's not going to spoil anything in the story.
I
It's just
I I don't. Yeah, I don't know who you might be talking about. So who?
well,
It's what, an
they have
Easter egg
the
hunt?
Do you remember in Monster Hunter 4,
Uh,
I think her name was Little Forge, Little Smith?
she was the yeah. She worked with the blacks one of the other blacksmiths and like
Yeah,
the
she was
second
the
place
little
you go to or
girl.
whatever. Yeah,
She's a blacksmith in this game.
dude, that's
And
cool.
she's got the same hammer. She has her little tank top that she's wearing. She's just wearing more over the top, and she has the caravan leader's coat.
Okay, dude, for real?
And so yeah, I was sitting
Wow.
there, I was looking at her, and she has this little like doll that the handler in 4 made for her, and
Uh-huh.
it's like on her waist. And then just looking at her, it's like, is that who I think it is? And I was looking at her coat, and it had the symbol. It was the red coat, and it had the winged symbol on the back. And I was like, oh,
That's really
that's
cool.
who that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
And so they
Monster
have
Hunter's
little
got
Easter eggs like that.
continuity. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow,
Um,
I didn't
Also,
expect
the fan
that.
base is obsessed with her, and
Of
when
course,
you play the game, you will know why.
of course.
For an
Um,
unhealthy reason or for a healthy
Fan base
reason?
is always obsessed
No.
with someone in these games.
Unhealthy reason is
Yeah.
what I had just heard. Okay.
It's a cool game. You guys should definitely pick it up because I would love to play it with you. Other than that, that's all I've been doing for games. I've been doing D&D stuff. I got
Mhm.
back into D&D, if that's part of this segment.
It is. It is. Games
Um,
in general as
I,
a whole.
I have a lot that I've done the last few months, so sorry if I'm taking over a lot of these parts,
No, dude.
or if it
No,
feels
you're
like I
fine,
am.
dude.
We've all got stuff. So
Scott, I could
Um,
listen to you talk about your passions for hours.
Brandon, what have you been playing recently?
Not much, man. I started playing a little bit of Risk of Rain 2. I reignited an old challenge with Quinn with the new DLC being out.
Oh, cool.
Of basically, we are trying to be the first one to have 100% of the game completed. That's the goal.
Wow.
you're just talking
It's
about
a
achievements
challenge.
You
or
can do it,
everything
man.
else as well.
No, the game log. The game
Okay.
log contains more than just the achievements.
Yeah.
So there's some really hard challenges. Like there's one where you have to as a one of the characters Rex, which is already a difficult character
Not
to
my
play
favorite.
as.
Yeah.
Well, they're an acquired taste. I enjoy playing them. But you have to play as Rex and you have to knock a boss into a pit on this particular map. But that first of all requires the RNG to get that boss, but then
Yeah.
it requires the RNG to then get that a location close enough to the pit on that map for the boss to spawn there and drop them in. And so
Stuff.
it's a pain in the butt. Yeah. But dude, the new survivors are so cool. Have you guys played much of it?
I
No.
know that they added a is it like a monk? It's like a spiritualist character.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I don't like the chef. Not a favorite.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Oh.
However, they added my new favorite survivor. I love this one more than Acrid now. The False Sun. Oh, dude, he's so cool. So, lore-wise, he's awesome because he was a creation of Mithrix and his brother,
Providence.
Providence. Yeah, I think it was mainly Mithrix though. Similar to Aurelionite in design, where
Oh,
he just
yeah.
kind of he just kind of got his own thing going, and then when Mithrix died, he just was like, I don't know what else to do with myself. So, or it might have been Providence. I don't do the lore justice here, but it's a really
It's okay.
unique story. And then also, he becomes a playable character when you beat him. He's the
Awesome.
final boss in the
Wow.
new DLC, but he becomes a playable character. And he is one of the most unique playable characters I've played as. So he gets his regular right click is like a ranged hit and all of
Yeah.
that, and his R ability is a ranged hit. But his melee, you can do his regular left and right click. But if you hold left click and then hold right click at the same time, he does a charged up slam attack. So he actually gets 2 primary attacks. And the charged up slam does insanely high damage, and it's just fun.
That's cool. Dang, I
Oh,
need to
dude.
play again.
Dude, I'll play with you anytime. Risk of Rain session right after this.
Anything else, Brandon? Anything else new you've been playing, or?
Nothing really new, just same old games.
Yeah.
Haven't played a lot of Counter-Strike recently with any of you guys. However, I have been still doing my aim training, Nathaniel. I'm just waiting for you to tell me when we're playing.
Cash came out today.
What?
It's only on the workshop. FMPone dropped it on the workshop,
Oh.
but it
Okay.
should hopefully. He's just waiting on Valve to put it in the game now. So.
And I'm just now hearing this. You've been sending us updates about
Yeah,
Cash
I was
for
sending
literally
Carter
months.
updates about Cash for months, but
Yeah.
I've somehow not thought about Counter-Strike for a
Have you
while.
not been playing at all?
No, I've
Or,
just been doing other stuff. Yeah.
That's wild, dude. I would love to
Yeah.
play with you again.
And I'll get to some of that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything coming out either of you guys are looking forward to, or
No.
anything you're gonna jump on next that we can follow back
More
up with
Monster
on another
Hunter.
episode? Or okay.
I've been kind of busy at work, so I haven't really been keeping my ear to the ground.
Mhm.
I just kind of, I've also been moving. I've just had stuff
Yeah,
going on.
It's been busy for us
So
all for sure.
yeah.
What have you been playing?
All
Yeah, man.
right. Well, so on Saturday, I released the first episode of Video Game Previewer, which is kind of gonna be my main thing that I'm gonna try to be creating from now on. It's pretty much a video game review show, but I also am wanting to keep it spoiler free, and just talk about the game and set it make it so someone can watch this and decide whether or not this is a game they'd want to play or not. But I did Super Mario 64 for that, so I went ahead and replayed that whole game recently, which, having done it for my second time, was much quicker than the first, and I'm very proud of that video. I had I had written the script, and I went and recorded it and edited it all together, and was like, man, I'm not totally happy with some of this, so I made some last minute, I made some changes to the script, got a whole bunch of new in-game footage, and re-recorded everything the next day, and was able to get it up. So that's been cool. This Saturday I'll be dropping, not this Saturday, hopefully on Friday, it might be on Saturday depending on how the week goes, I'll be dropping an Uncharted review.
Oh,
So that'll be
I look
fun.
forward to that.
cool.
I beat that
I
game
know.
a few months ago, and I made like pages and pages of notes on it. So I've been picking it back up to refresh myself with my notes and all that, and I'm starting to put the video together, uh, and that'll be cool. And I also have like what I'll do after that is Sonic Unleashed. I actually just saw that
Oh my gosh.
someone released like an unofficial PC port of that game. They were finally able to,
Yeah.
like, the Sonic fan base was finally able to get it on PC. So there's gonna be all these people that like love Sonic Unleashed and it's their favorite game that are finally gonna, be able to play it on their PC again instead of the PS3. And then I'm gonna come out here and make a video and go, I don't like this game, and we'll see
That's
how
Unleash the
that
crazy.
goes.
Werehog.
But
Unleashed really didn't get good reviews. Like that's a very niche fan
it's
base of people
pretty.
who like that.
It's just divided as a whole. Like it's gotten a lot of not divided. It's um divisive is the word I'm looking for as a whole.
Yeah.
But it in the past few years, a lot of people have come out and it started to like people have started to like it a lot more within the past few years. But
Hmm.
that's for next week when that video comes out. But
Wow.
personally, like besides games I'm completing for the show and scripts I'm in the progress of, what I've done started to play personally, like for myself, and I'll eventually do it on the show, is Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, the OG on the Switch. That's what I got it on.
Not the remaster, the OG.
Not the remaster, but what it's
That's
done
awesome.
is it's made me go, oh, there's a few problems I have with the game that I realize I think aren't in remake, which I'm sure remake has some of its own problems as well. But I'll get to that someday. But dude, it's making me want to play remake. And anyway, uh,
Yeah.
the
I'm in that
reason
boat. I want to
I
play it.
I'll dive more into that in a second, but real fast want to touch on what I'm looking forward to. Um, Metroid Prime 4.
Oh
I don't
man.
know if we had gotten the trailer for that game when we were recording the podcast back in October. I don't know if that had come out yet, but
I don't
the
remember.
Switch 2 was revealed, and there's a Switch 2 Direct coming up within like
In
sometime soon.
April.
I think within, yeah, so that's in like a
It's
month.
April 2nd.
And the a lot of people are thinking that Nintendo's gonna pull a Twilight Princess slash Breath of the Wild with Metroid Prime 4 and release it on both consoles.
Hmm.
So we
Which
could
that'd
be
be cool.
looking for that game. That game could end up releasing uh with launch on with at launch when the Switch 2 launches. So that might be this year. That might not be super far out. Um so that'll be cool. Super excited for that. Love Metroid. But anyway, we have a new segment on the show called the Question of the Month. And the idea is that we answer a question, we ask a question, answer a question between ourselves, and then you, the viewers, the fans, enjoyers of the podcast, can tell us your answers, and we'll feature them on the next podcast in 2 weeks because we're gonna be putting two of these up every month. So we'll feature your answers to the question we answer today on our next episode. But the question I want to ask is, what is your not what is your favorite game, and not what is your favorite genre. Maybe we'll do that one next. But I want to ask, what is your favorite video game franchise? Because I myself like
Oh.
had this. I don't know what was happening. I really don't remember all the context, but I like got really introspective and started thinking about like what do I actually what are my favorite games? Like what do I actually like? What do I actually want in video games nowadays? And I had this realization that, oh man, I think after laying it all out for myself, Final Fantasy is my favorite franchise.
Yeah.
And I for real have only beat three Final Fantasy games, if you even count them as that. Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, and Stormblood, three parts of Final
Hey
Fantasy
man.
14 online. And I've played
Those
7,
are
I've played 15, I've played 3 and 4 and 1 and uh,
I still want to do a Let's Watch where you play
all
10 and I'm just watching you play.
all that kind of stuff.
whew,
But
Uh,
I've realized
blitzball.
like I the turn-based combat and the stories and the world and all that is I think it's my favorite, and so that's why I decided to play Final Fantasy VII, and I am gonna probably play 15 next because I want to beat that game. I've started it multiple times and want to finally beat it. But dude, I just really love Final Fantasy. I like the music, even if they're and then even if the stories are really like poorly told sometimes, I think generally they're super cool. I like the characters. I like the worlds they create and how it's the RPG elements, whether it's an action RPG like nowadays or good old turn based. So Scott, you can rest assured that yes, I will eventually play Final Fantasy 14 again.
Great.
um,
I'm waiting for
I
you,
would
bud.
love to make a new character and um, review the different expansions. So
Yeah.
and they've changed some of that, which is kind of why I want to replay it again. Is apparently it's not as big as it used to be, a lot more polished. So yeah, what is your favorite video
Video
game
game
franchise?
franchise.
Yeah,
Franchise. So we're
That's
talking about
tough. That's
series.
really
yeah,
tough
like
for
it'd be
me.
Mario or Final Fantasy or Sonic or
Yeah.
Zelda or
Um,
Monster
for
Hunter.
the longest time, it was probably Final Fantasy or Zelda. But thinking about that, as far as Final Fantasy goes, my two favorite games are Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 4,
Hmm.
which I think was Final Fantasy 2 in America,
In the U.S., yeah, yeah.
in the US when it came out. Um, but I don't think it's my favorite franchise. The same thing with Zelda. I've been playing Zelda since I was practically out of the womb. Um, I mean, practically born with a Game Boy in my hand, playing
Yeah,
Minish
minus
Cap,
cap.
and actually OG Legend of Zelda Nintendo Classics Game Boy
Hmm.
cartridge. I remember sitting on Dad's lap as he would show me all the secret like
He still
trees that you
knows
could
them.
burn.
He still
He
knows
knows
that
them
stuff.
so
I
well.
don't know how he hasn't forgotten any of that. He's still the master of NES games.
Yeah.
Can literally pick them
Um,
up after having not played them in 30 years and just.
you know, every Zelda game that comes out nowadays, they all have their own like really cool things, but they all kind of feel the same way. Like you can get into the game and you're like, ah, I'm back in Hyrule,
Hmm.
perfect, and it's fun. I don't think it's my favorite franchise either. This is hard. This is so hard. I mean, you got a lot of cool games like Metroid.
Yeah,
Metroid's really cool.
yeah, that's
Um,
hard.
Sonic.
That's a hard
Oh my
thing for
gosh.
you, Scott. Because I know
Uh,
like Abby, our sister, would for sure say like Mega Man. Like it's not even a question.
yeah.
Mega Man's her favorite, and Metroid would be the second. But for you, you have Metroid, which you really, really, really like, but you weren't able to get into Prime, and you have Zelda, which you really, really like, but you weren't able to get into Ocarina of Time. And then if you
Oh, I
were
almost
to
beat
ever pull
Ocarina
out
of
like
Time.
Mario, you don't like Mario 64, and there's so many Mario games you haven't played, and so I don't
Arguably
know
the
what
best
your
Mario,
answer
and you
is,
don't
but
like it.
well, it's not the best
The
Mario.
only the o- I
Arguably.
swear this is not because the new game just came out. I think my favorite franchise might just be Monster Hunter. Because back when we started in Monster Hunter 3
Three
Ultimate,
Ultimate, yeah,
and that
on the
was
3DS, dude.
12 or 14 years ago.
I'll figure it out. We started on the demo.
Um,
We played that game before it came
we
out.
did.
Yeah,
We
it
played the
was awesome.
demo. Uh, Back then, when you got demos on the 3DS, you had a
They were
number of
so
times
good.
you could play them. You could
And
only
then you
play the
just
demo
download it
30
again.
times.
Yeah.
I think you and I played it till we were down to, I don't know, maybe 6 more times. And then
I
we were
know
like, okay,
I
we
used
gotta
all of
get
my
this
ones from
game.
Monster Hunter 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it
that game
was
is amazing.
December 10th, 2011.
Okay, so
It's been 14 years.
13, 14 years? Wow,
Yeah.
okay. But every Monster Hunter game I've played since 3 Ultimate, I've picked up. Except for Monster Hunter Now on the mobile, the Pokemon Go like game. I didn't bother with that. But
Oh, man.
I mean, I play these games. I don't have a whole lot of negatives
Hmm.
coming from them. It's one of those games where I'm always gonna have the weapon combos in my head. I can pick it up whenever, and I know what I'm doing. I just can go do a thing, and I can have a good time, and I can put it down and not play it for another couple months. But I don't know. Every game just scratches a nice itch.
Yeah.
I like that, it's you have to grind on it. You can play it with friends. You can play it by yourself, and I like collecting armor sets. That's fun. Collecting armor sets and getting new weapons and getting all the upgrades. Fighting the monsters and learning all of their move sets.
Patterns and yeah.
That's cool. It's a lot of people really like Dark Souls games. Souls, Sekiro, Born Ring,
Soulsborne, Souls-like.
whatever. There's so many names to add on to that now. This is my Dark Souls is Monster Hunter. So that's probably what it is.
That is...
All right, Brandon, it's your turn.
I've been thinking of my favorite game series since the moment you started speaking. Let's put it that way. And I have no clue off the top of my head. Because define game, like, what do you mean by, does it have to be the same universe and continuity? Because I just love Blizzard games in general.
Yeah, so that's too wide. So I'm not saying I like Nintendo games. No, I'm saying it'd be like I like Mario, or I like Zelda, or I like Pokemon, or I like Warhammer, or I like Warcraft.
I mean,
or I like
if you said Warcraft, then I would say it would encompass the RTS games and the MMO.
Yeah, you could have. Does that count?
Yeah, that's my thing.
StarCraft.
Like,
is StarCraft included in there?
I could show through the gameplay right now, like /blade.
Oh, you spelled that wrong.
Let's see it.
This is on not even 3 days on this character, so I put almost 100 hours into this character right here.
Wow!
And he is halfway to max level. He's just a side character.
So many other characters.
You have thousands of hours on WoW.
I have
he probably has like 15K.
amount of hours in World of Warcraft. I have more hours in World of Warcraft by a country mile than any other game I've played. I would be stupid not to say World of Warcraft, even if I don't mean it. Because this is my game. Whenever all else fails, I will come back to WoW, and I will play WoW. Every time, without fail. So yeah, no, it has to be World of Warcraft. And I guess by extension, the series as a whole. But it's just, this is my game.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing that all three of those have in common, it's RPG.
RPG elements.
I suppose so, man.
We like our role-playing games.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Well, and even think about it, like, Brandon also likes Dark Souls, action RPG. Brandon also likes Skyrim.
I mean, Counter-Strike's basically an RPG.
Counter-Strike is tactical. Very tactical.
Yeah. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think this close second would be like maybe Fallout, just because it's one of the first really big games, like really big RPGs I played, other than World of Warcraft. I have hundreds of hours.
So that'd
in
be
Fallout.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like you could almost
the whole series, so I feel like I can't truly
call that. That's the one situation where I think we could go, okay, Bethesda. Like, that's the only time we could, because all their games are so similar. Fallout, Skyrim.
Well, they're similar in style, but they're totally different continuities. Like, Elder Scrolls is so far different from Fallout. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
You just can't categorize them in the same. But, for me, it has to be Warcraft. If I gotta choose one, Warcraft. I almost said StarCraft just because I love the sci-fi, but who am I kidding? I don't have nearly as many hours in StarCraft as I do.
What if there was a world of StarCraft online, or it'd have to be called like Space of StarCraft or something? Brandon would eat that up.
I don't know if I would.
For real?
Yeah, because StarCraft is also a different style of game. StarCraft is an RTS game at its core.
But Warcraft was also an RTS.
Yeah, but
it originally started out as a Lord of the Rings game.
Yeah. Well, no, are you sure? StarCraft
Warcraft, yeah.
originated.
Orcs and
StarCraft was
humans.
originally going to be a Warhammer game, actually.
Interesting.
Oh
I
wow.
found out there was
That
a
fell through, yeah.
lore, a YouTube lore guy that I was listening to, and he talked about how Warcraft 1 was supposed to be a Lord of the Rings RTS game, but they lost the rights. So to keep the game, the guy who eventually created the world just like walked off one day, wrote up all this world lore, and then
Yeah.
brought it back so they could still release the game.
Wow. And now look. It's clearly doing well. So
Yeah.
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 Oddly enough, I prefer Warcraft's lore and its world to Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings so
Really?
much, but I think
That's
Warcraft's
shocking
story
to me.
is much more entertaining.
Bro, I'm just saying the redemption of the orcs from being the villains, like the one-dimensional villains, we're here to pillage and destroy, to being like, oh, the orcs are actually a sympathetic, not bad people. They just got deceived into the situation they're in, and then they break themselves free. And in the end of the day, in my personal opinion, looking at the context of World of Warcraft, leading up to everything up until maybe Pandaria, because Hellscream's kind of a douche.
He is.
Um, the Horde is absolutely the good guys.
Yeah.
The Horde are just
Yeah.
trying to reconcile from their past sins and be left alone. And then like the Alliance are going, "No, you did these things to us. You're evil." And the Horde is just like, "But we didn't have a choice. Leave me alone." And yeah.
Yeah.
The trolls also are victims, bro. The trolls had the most powerful empire, and then the humans cheated and used like a all-powerful archmage who single-handedly bodied the trolls, and it's not fair.
Was that Medivh?
I think so. I think it was Medivh.
Yeah.
Homeboy literally like just one-shot their entire army by himself. It's
You
not
see, my
fair.
friends, this is why this is Brandon's favorite franchise.
Yeah.
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 It's
I don't
awesome.
know. Admittedly, I don't know as much about the lore, but as I do like in Warhammer. But it's still just so good. It has all those elements I love from D&D. The villains are
Yeah.
not one-dimensional for the most part. There are some one-dimensional villains, right? But there's also just like the relatable villains are not one-dimensional. Garrosh Hellscream is not a one-dimensional evil dude who just does bad
Nah.
things. He is a dude who got thrust into a role he was not ready for by someone who failed him as a mentor and leader, and then does his best, gets hated for doing his best, then proceeds to leave that and build another thing from the ground up, and then gets just attacked by everybody. Everyone
Yeah.
hates him. It's him versus the world. And then everyone wonders why Garrosh is such a jerk. And you're just like, oh, it's probably because the entire world is trying to kill him, and he's just doing the best he could with the resources he was given, and he was not properly prepared for this world or this role. He's still a bad dude, but he's a sympathetic bad dude, and I love it. I love those villains so much.
He would make a great D&D character. Or D&D villain.
D&D villain. Moving on to the final part of the show, final part of the podcast. Is there anything you guys have learned recently? Anything funny, interesting, like serious? Anything you've learned recently?
I've been learning a lot of writing tips. Obviously, because I've been trying to really focus on it now that I have a job that
Mhm.
is flexible enough that I can do things like this a little more full time, part time, writing time.
Yeah.
I've been learning about what makes a good story and the parts of a story. Oh, you're back. Hello.
Hi, Suki.
Just chilling. Using all the parts of the buffalo and making a story. And
Yeah.
now that I've been learning all that, it's got me looking at a bunch of the things that I grew up with. And just seeing how all those stories work and
Mhm.
going, oh, that's interesting. This is a cool little thing that I can see what the author was trying to do here, or why this conversation worked this way and why this character said that. It's interesting to see how all that works now. Um, Getting a little like a peek behind the screen almost.
What about you, Brandon?
Just me? Like,
Anything
can you
you've
repeat
learned
the question
recently?
again? I'm sorry.
Anything, whether it's funny or interesting or serious or anything you've learned recently?
It's gonna sound awful, but off the top of my head, I'm just not able to think of anything. Like, I'm sure I have learned things. I'm just not thinking of them right now.
Mhm.
Um, can I take a rain check on that answer? I don't actually have. My brain just stopped
Yeah,
working,
we're
and I
gonna
can't
ask
think
it
of
every
anything.
week, so it
You
Oh,
every
guys your
gosh.
answers
every
next
episode.
time.
I mean, so
So I'll
just
have to have
just
two
make
answers
sure
next time.
you learn something by next week. For
Well,
me, it's
like I
I've
said,
just
I'm sure I've learned something. I
yeah
just am spacing on what it is.
yeah. For me, it's just I just like how to be consistently productive. Um,
Yeah.
like it's hard to always
Ooh.
be creative, like to always be creating something or always be trying to come up with something. Uh, for me, at least, consistently. I guess that's like why people deal with writer's block. A lot of people have seasons where they are really able to be very creative and come up with a lot of things and they feel very productive, and then they have seasons where they feel like they can't. For me, it's more of a a day thing. It's I'll have a day where I feel like I stuff's clicking. I can really get a lot done, and days where I don't feel like that. But what I've been learning recently really helps for me is routine, and is certain things that you only do when you're doing that thing. So like I have I have a pair of shoes in my office that I only wear when I'm working,
Okay, that's cool.
and
Interesting.
and I've like certain things I only listen to when I'm working, and they help me get in that headspace, and it's been cool. I've felt like personally I stress myself a lot over needing to get stuff done or needing to be able to consistently create something because of what I'm wanting to build with H7 Bus, and yeah, I've just been learning how to do that better lately, and it's super fun, super cool, very satisfying.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
So
actually a great development for you. I thought of
yeah,
something that I learned, by
yeah.
the way.
Okay. Brandon has learned things.
I have learned things. I just had a brain fart when you asked. So I learned, and this is interesting that I just learned this now, but I learned that a large amount of the Old Testament, the way it is actually written as Hebrew poetry. And if
Yeah,
you
some
read
of
it
it
in
is.
the context, like most of Genesis,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
creation
There's a few
story
books
is,
that are poetry. Yeah.
yeah. And then if you read it, it turns out if you read the Bible in the context of, like, especially the parts that are in the context of Hebrew poetry, it really lights up for you a lot
Hmm.
more of like, oh, this is why they say it this way,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm struggling to think of very specific instances because there's a couple. We talked about it in youth actually. There were some very specific instances of like, yes, if you read this as this and take it exactly literal, that makes no sense. But then if you look at it the way it was written and intended
Hmm.
to be
The way it was
received,
meant
which
to be
is
read. Yeah.
as poetry, you understand, oh, okay, this didn't actually literally happen this way. It happened similar to that, but it's told in a way where they're trying to illustrate it easier for people to understand. And
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's something with the
So,
Bible that a lot of people struggle with reading the Bible is they're like, well, how do I apply this to my life? And it's like, well, you're trying to apply something to your life that was never written to you. It was written for you. The Bible is a gift from Jesus for us, for our lives, to
Yeah.
learn how to live and learn how to know Him and and all that. But at the same time,
It was not intended to be.
like
Not
you need
every
to be
single
able
aspect
to
was intended to be taken at
understand
face
and
value.
read those books in context to who they're written to and what genre they are first, and be able to understand those before you can totally like go, okay, this is what this means for me. uh,
Yeah.
and so yeah, there are books like Genesis and the Psalms, which would be Ruth would be another one that would be considered like artistic poetry, that kind of thing. Like Ruth is almost written like a play,
Yeah.
which is super interesting. And
And
then you have
there are
history. Chronicles is literally the history of these kings, and
yeah,
yeah,
and there are some still amazing like things in there where like if you read it, you learn more about God and deeper into God. But if you don't read it in the way it's intended, it's just white noise.
yeah,
You
it's just
can still glean
part
things,
of one
but it's
of
yeah,
studying, of like really studying and understanding scripture is that is if you're wanting to really unpack it and go into depth and be able to connect some dots personally, like, and really have good productive Bible study, that's kind of a thing you have to learn eventually, is not just to read it all and and hope for understanding, but the actual like taking some steps to learn about the backstory and the context in which you should be reading. Yeah, that's super.
yeah,
That's super cool, Brennan.
Cool.
yeah. So I have a lot more context when it comes to that. It's
Genesis.
really awesome.
Yeah. So
Genesis specifically.
yeah, any final thoughts as we wrap up the podcast?
I had a good
Um,
time. I miss you guys.
I miss you guys too.
I miss you guys too.
Yeah.
Um, did you know the word used to describe the fear of long words is unnecessarily long on purpose for to be funny?
Yep.
Yes. It's
And the
hilarious.
person who made it did it just to be a troll.
Oh,
And
dude,
it's
it's
great.
so funny, dude.
It's such a jerk move. Because if you genuinely are scared of long words and you have to tell people what your fear is, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's a silly fear," and then you have
Yeah.
to say the word and be terrified while you're saying it. That's just brutal. It's like
Yeah.
that's like the biggest. Hey, you know what? Eat a butt. You're this sucks for you.
And we'll
I will go have some bacon.
and we'll end it there. All right. Uh thanks for joining us. If
I can't
you
wait to hear what you name this episode.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd be interested in asking us questions live while we record the show, head to patreon.com/h7bus for more info. And let us know in the comments on YouTube or on X, what is your favorite video game franchise. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Dude, I
Yeah,
have to
Scott, you got
pee
cut off.
so bad.